Hello, friends. Welcome to the Sleep Aliens. Did you know that nearly 80% of those who watch my videos aren't subscribed? If you enjoy the content, I'd truly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps a lot. Also, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. By the way, where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. Before I tell you what happened on the Oregon coast in November, there's something you need to understand. The ocean there is different from others. It's passive, yet it pounds the rocks so fiercely that it reminds you how small you are. It makes you feel like you don't belong anywhere. We are just visitors. We are not permanent. My name is Caleb Monroe. I'm 43 years old. I've lived in Tillamook County since the day I was born. Like my grandfather and father before me, I make my living fishing. That's our job. That's who we are. At least, that's what I thought until P-Day. Before the light. The story starts simple enough. November 14th, 2019. A Thursday. I remember because Thursdays are when I check the crab pots near Barview. The weather had been rough all week. Storm after storm rolling in from the Pacific. But Thursday morning broke clear. Cold as hell, but clear. The kind of cold that makes your lungs hurt when you breathe. I called Nora Flynn around 6 a.m. Nora's been my deckhand for 3 years. She's 28, grew up in Rockaway Beach, knows the water better than most men, twice her age. She's also the only person who'll confirm what I'm about to tell you. The only other witness who hasn't disappeared into silence. We met at the dock at 7. The sun was just starting to think about coming up. Everything was gray and silver. The boats creaked in their slips, gulls called overhead. Normal. Everything was completely normal. "Rough out there today?" Nora asked, pulling her jacket tighter. I checked my phone. Weather app said light winds, 3-foot swells. Should be fine. Calmer than it's been. She nodded, grabbed her bag. We loaded up the Mariana. That's my boat, 24-foot commercial fishing vessel. Nothing fancy, but she's solid, and headed out around 7:30. The ocean was smooth, eerily smooth, like glass. Fog hung low over the water, thick and wet, the kind that gets into your clothes and won't leave. We motored north toward the fishing grounds, following the coastline. You could barely see the shore through the mist. Just dark shapes of rocks and trees. "Feels weird out here," Nora said after about 20 minutes. I'd been thinking the same thing. The silence was wrong. No birds, no other boats, just the steady thrum of our engine and the fog pressing in from all sides. "Yeah," I said, "feels weird." We reached the first pot around 8:15. Pulled it up, empty. Second pot, same thing. Third pot had 2 crabs, both undersized. We threw them back. Fourth pot, nothing. Fifth pot, nothing. By 10 a.m., we'd checked 12 pots and had exactly 6 keeper crabs. Terrible haul. Nora was getting frustrated. I was getting worried. The crabs were always here, always. "One more spot," I said. "Up by the old Fisher shelter." The Fisher shelter sits on a rocky outcrop about 2 miles north of Barview. It's been abandoned for probably 30 years. Just a small wooden shack where fishermen used to wait out storms before better harbors were built. Nobody goes there anymore. The approach is too dangerous. Rocks everywhere. But there's a good crabbing spot just off the point. We headed north. The fog got thicker. I had to slow down, navigate by GPS because you couldn't see more than 20 feet. The water stayed smooth as ice. Not natural. November ocean is never that calm. "Caleb," Nora said. Her voice had changed, tight. "You see that?" I looked where she was pointing. Ahead, through the fog, a shape, dark and angular, the Fisher shelter. Yeah, we're almost there. No, I mean, do you see the light? I looked again, and that's when I saw it, a glow, faint, white, coming from above the shelter, like a spotlight but diffused through the fog, hovering. My first thought was a helicopter, Coast Guard maybe, or one of the news choppers from Portland. But there was no sound, no rotor wash, just that pale light hanging in the mist. Could be a boat, I said. Even as I said it, I knew that wasn't right. Nora didn't answer. She was staring at the light. Her face had gone very still. We kept moving forward, slowly. The light grew brighter, more defined. It wasn't moving with the wind, wasn't swaying or drifting, just there, perfectly stationary. About 50 feet above the Fisher shelter. I cut the engine when we were maybe 100 yards out. The Mariana drifted in the current. Dead quiet. You could hear the water lapping against the hull. Nothing else. The light pulsed, once, twice. A slow rhythm, like breathing. "We should go back," Nora whispered. I should have listened to her. I should have turned that boat around right then and motored back to Barview and forgotten the whole thing. But I didn't. Because I'm a fisherman. Because I grew up on this water. Because some stupid part of me needed to know what that light was. "Just a little closer," I said. Nora's hand gripped the rail, white-knuckled. But she didn't argue. I started the engine again. Idle speed. We crept forward through the fog. The light grew larger, brighter. I could see it more clearly now. It wasn't a beam from above. It was the object itself. A sphere of white light about 15 feet across, hovering motionless above the Fisher shelter. And it was perfectly silent. When we got within 50 yards, I cut the engine again. The Mariana bobbed in place. Nora and I both stood there, staring up at this thing. This impossible thing. "What is that?" she asked. I had no answer, no explanation. It looked like... Have you ever stared at a bright light too long? And when you close your eyes, you see the after-image? It looked like that, like it existed both in front of me and behind my eyes at the same time. The light pulsed again, slower now. And that's when I felt it. A sensation in my chest, a vibration, low frequency. You couldn't hear it, but you could feel it, in your bones, in your teeth. "You feel that?" I asked. Nora nodded. Her face was pale. The vibration intensified. My vision started to blur around the edges. The fog seemed to move in strange patterns, swirling but not from wind. From something else. Some force I couldn't name. "Caleb, we need to leave. Now." This time I agreed. I reached for the ignition key, turned it. The engine coughed, sputtered, died. I tried again. Same result. Not even a full turnover. Just a weak cough and nothing. "Come on," I muttered, pumping the throttle. Tried a third time, fourth time. Nothing. The Mariana was dead in the water. "Why isn't it starting?" Nora's voice was rising. Panic edging in. "I don't know. It was fine 5 minutes ago." The light pulsed again. Brighter this time. The vibration in my chest grew stronger. I could feel my heartbeat sinking with it. Slow. Rhythmic. Not my natural rhythm. Something external, pulling my pulse into alignment. "Check the fuel line," I said. "Maybe it's clogged." Nora moved fast. She pulled open the engine compartment, ran her hands along the fuel line. When she pulled them back, her fingers were covered in frost. "Caleb, it's frozen." "What?" She held up her hands. Ice crystals glittered on her skin. "The fuel line is frozen solid." That's impossible. The temperature was cold, maybe 38 degrees, but not freezing. And even if it was, fuel doesn't freeze at 38 degrees. I knelt down, looked at the engine. She was right. The fuel line was encased in a thin layer of ice. So was part of the engine block, and the deck around the compartment. Frost spreading in a perfect circle, about 3 feet in diameter. "How?" I started to say. The light pulsed again. This time the pulse came with a sound. A deep, resonant tone, like a tuning fork struck underwater. It filled the air, filled my head, made my eyes water. Nora grabbed my arm. "Look." The Fisher shelter. The building itself was changing. The wood was glowing, faint phosphorescence, like bioluminescent algae, but on dry land. The entire structure radiated a soft green-blue light. And then I saw them. The marks. On the roof of the shelter, drawn in what looked like salt or white powder, were symbols. Geometric shapes. 4 circles arranged in a square pattern, with a single straight line connecting them through the center. Perfectly symmetrical. Each circle maybe 2 feet across. "Those weren't there before," I said. "How do you know?" "Because I've been past this shelter 1,000 times. Those marks weren't there." The white light pulsed again, and this time it expanded. The sphere grew larger, spreading outward in all directions. Toward us. "Get down!" I shouted. We both hit the deck. The light passed over the boat. I felt it wash across my skin like cold water, like static electricity. Every hair on my body stood up. My mouth tasted like copper, like blood. And then, for just a moment, I saw something else. A shape. Inside the light. Large. Mechanical. Angular surfaces that caught and reflected in ways that made my eyes hurt. It was only visible for a second, maybe less. A glimpse of something solid within that sphere of white. And then it was gone. The light contracted, pulled back to its original size. The vibration in my chest stopped. The fog began to thin, pulled away by some invisible current. Nora lifted her head. "What was that?" "I don't know." "Did you see?" "Yeah, I saw it." We stayed down for another minute, maybe 2, waiting. The light continued to hover above the shelter, pulsing its slow rhythm, but the intensity had decreased. It felt dormant, like it was waiting for something. I reached up, tried the ignition again. This time the engine caught, roared to life. "Go," Nora said. "Go now." I didn't argue. I gunned the throttle and we shot backward, away from the shelter, away from that light. The Mariana responded perfectly. Whatever had frozen the fuel line was gone. We reversed 50 yards, 100 yards, 200 yards. The light stayed where it was, hovering, watching. When we were a quarter-mile away, I turned the boat around and headed south at full speed. The fog was lifting now. I could see the coastline clearly. Normal. Everything looked completely normal, like nothing had happened. But something had happened. We both knew it. We didn't speak on the way back. What could we say? What words existed for what we'd just seen? We reached the Barview dock at 11:30 a.m. I tied up the Mariana. Nora climbed out, her legs shaking. "Caleb," she said, "what do we do?" "I don't know. Do we tell someone?" I thought about that. Who would believe us? Coast Guard? Police? They'd think we were drunk, or high, or crazy. Let's just think about it," I said. "Sleep on it. We'll talk tomorrow." Nora nodded. She looked exhausted, pale. She walked to her truck without another word and drove away. I stayed on the boat, sat in the cabin, tried to make sense of what I'd seen. The light, the frozen fuel line, the marks on the shelter roof. the shape inside the sphere. My phone rang. My wife, Karen. "Hey," I answered. "How was the haul?" "Not great. 6 crabs." "That's it?" "Yeah. Rough morning." She could hear something in my voice. "You okay?" "Yeah, just tired. I'll be home soon." I hung up, looked out at the ocean. The sky was clearing. Blue patches breaking through the gray. A few boats were heading out for the afternoon run. Everything normal, everything exactly as it should be. But I knew what I'd seen. And I knew somehow that it wasn't over. That night, I tried to sleep. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that white light. Pulsing. Breathing. I got up around 2 a.m., went to my computer, started searching. Tillamook UFO. Oregon coast lights. Fisher shelter sightings. I found more than I expected. Turns out the Tillamook coast has a history. A long history of strange lights. Reports going back decades. Some from fishermen, some from hikers, some from people who lived in the area. All describing the same thing. White lights hovering over the water. Silent, unmoving. Most of the reports were dismissed. Flares, people said, or boats, or atmospheric phenomena. But the descriptions matched. Exactly matched what Nora and I had seen. I found a forum post from 2015. A fisherman named Douglas Reardon claimed he saw a white sphere near Netart's Bay. Hovered for 15 minutes, he said, then shot straight up and disappeared. He reported it to the Coast Guard. They told him it was probably a weather balloon. Another post from 2018. A couple camping near Oceanside saw lights moving in formation along the cliffs. Reported it to local police. Investigation turned up nothing. Pattern after pattern, sighting after sighting, all along the Tillamook coast, all ignored, all explained away. I kept digging, found something older, a newspaper article from 1974. The Tillamook Headlight Herald, small piece on page 4. Strange lights reported near Rocky Point. 3 fishermen claimed they saw an object hovering near an abandoned shelter. They approached. Their boat's engine died. When the object left, the engine restarted. The article was dismissive. Ended with a quote from the harbor master. Probably just confused by fog and tired from a long day. But the details were identical. I printed the article, read it 5 more times. 3 fishermen, engine failure, abandoned shelter. White light, that was 45 years ago. I shut down my computer, sat in the dark, thought about those symbols on the shelter roof. 4 circles, 1 line. What did they mean? Were they a message, a warning, a marker? My phone buzzed, text from Nora. "Can't sleep, keep thinking about it." I texted back. "Me too. We need to talk. Tomorrow, come to my place, 10 a.m. "Okay." I finally fell asleep around 4 a.m. Had dreams. Strange dreams. I was back on the water, the light was descending, coming closer. I could see detail now. Surface texture, panels, seams. It wasn't a sphere of light, it was a craft, something physical, something real. In the dream, I reached out to touch it. My hand passed through. No resistance. Like it existed in a different state of matter. And then I felt a pull. Gravity reversing. My body lifting, rising toward the light. I woke up at 6 a.m., drenched in sweat, heart pounding. The sun was up, morning light filtering through my bedroom window. Karen was still asleep beside me. I got up quietly, got dressed, went downstairs, made coffee. sat at the kitchen table, stared at that printed newspaper article from 1974. 3 fishermen. They saw what I saw. They felt what I felt. What happened to them after? The article didn't say. I made a note to find out. At 9:30, I drove to Nora's place. She lives in a small house in Rockaway Beach, about 10 minutes from Barview. When I arrived, she was already outside, sitting on her porch steps. She looked like she hadn't slept either. "You okay?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, not really." We went inside. She made tea. We sat at her kitchen table. "I've been thinking," she said, "about what we should do. And I think we should go back." I stared at her. "What?" "I think we should go back to the shelter. During the day. See if those marks are still there." "Nora, I don't think that's a good idea." "Why not? Whatever that thing was, it's gone now, right? We can check the shelter safely, get photos of the symbols, prove we're not making this up." She had a point. Evidence, we needed evidence. Without it, this was just a story, a claim, something people could dismiss. "What if it comes back?" I asked. "Then we leave, fast, but I need to see those marks again, Caleb. I need to know they're real, that I'm not losing my mind." I understood that feeling, the doubt, the creeping sense that maybe you imagined the whole thing. Maybe it was fog and exhaustion and your brain filling in gaps. "Okay," I said. "We'll go, but we don't get close. We stay in the boat. If we see anything strange, anything at all, we leave immediately. Deal." We left at 10:30. The ocean was choppy today, normal November weather. Gray clouds, whitecaps on the swells. The Mariana handled it fine. We motored north along the coast, retracing yesterday's route. I kept checking the sky. Nothing, just clouds. We reached the Fisher shelter around 11:15. I approached slowly, carefully, watching for rocks. The building looked the same. Old, weathered wood, broken windows, collapsed section of roof on the north side, but no light, no glow, no vibration, just an abandoned building on a rocky point. "There," Nora said, pointing. "The roof." I looked. The symbols. They were still there. 4 circles. One connecting line, clear as day, white against the dark wood. "Get the camera," I said. Nora pulled out her phone, started taking photos. Zoomed in as much as she could. The marks were distinct. Deliberate. Someone, or something, had drawn them with precision. "Can we get closer?" she asked. "How much closer?" "I want to land, go up to the building, see them up close. Nora, just for a minute, please." Against my better judgment, I maneuvered the Mariana to a small rocky beach beside the outcrop. Nora jumped out, tied us off. I followed reluctantly. The shelter was about 30 feet away. We climbed over rocks, tide pools, driftwood. The building looked worse up close, rotting, sagging. One good storm would probably collapse the whole thing. But those symbols, those were fresh. We stood beneath them, looking up. "How would someone even get up there?" Nora asked. Good question. The roof was at least 12 feet high. No ladder, no easy access. You'd need climbing equipment, or something else. "I don't know," I said. Nora walked closer to the building, put her hand on the wall, pulled it back immediately. "What?" I asked. "It's warm." I touched the wall. She was right. The wood was warm. Not hot, but distinctly warm, like it had been sitting in sunlight. But there was no sunlight. The sky was overcast. Temperature was maybe 40 degrees. "That's not normal," I said. "No," Nora agreed. "It's not." She walked around the corner of the building, out of sight. I heard her gasp, "Caleb, come here!" I ran around the corner, found her standing at the back of the shelter. staring at the ground, the rocks, the bare rocks behind the building. They were covered in frost, a perfect circle about 10 feet in diameter, and in the center of that circle, pressed into the frost, was a shape, an indentation, 3 ovals arranged in a triangle pattern, each oval maybe 6 inches long, like footprints, but not human, too large, wrong shape. We both stared at those marks. Neither of us spoke. Then I heard it, a sound, faint, coming from the ocean, a hum. "We need to leave," I said. "Now." We ran back to the boat. I untied us, fired up the engine, pulled away from the shore as fast as I could without hitting rocks. The hum grew louder. I looked back at the shelter. The symbols on the roof were glowing, faint blue light, getting brighter. "Faster!" Nora shouted. I pushed the throttle to maximum. The Mariana shot forward. I didn't look back again until we were a quarter mile away. When I finally did, the shelter looked normal. No glow, no light. Just an old building on a rocky point, but we both knew what we'd seen. The warm wall, the frost circle, the footprints. Something had been there, recently, and it might come back. We didn't go fishing the next day, or the day after that. Nora called me Friday morning and said she needed time to think. I understood. I needed time, too. Time to process. Time to decide what our next move should be. But the thing about time is that it doesn't change what you saw, doesn't make it go away. Those symbols, those footprints, they stayed in my mind. Vivid. Undeniable. Saturday afternoon, I drove back to the harbor. Needed to check on the Mariana, make sure everything was secured. Storm was supposed to roll in that night. When I got there, I found someone waiting for me on the dock. An older man, maybe 70, wearing a worn canvas jacket and a faded mariner's cap. He was standing next to my boat slip, hands in his pockets, staring out at the water. "Help you with something?" I asked. He turned, looked at me with pale blue eyes, eyes that had seen a lot of ocean. "You're Caleb Monroe," he said. Not a question, a statement. "That's right. You were up by the old Fisher shelter Thursday morning." My stomach tightened. "How do you know that?" "Because I've been tracking the lights for 30 years, and Thursday morning they came back." He extended his hand. "Name's Marcus Holt. I think we need to talk." We went to a coffee shop on Main Street. Marcus bought us both black coffee, and we sat in a corner booth, away from other people. "I'm not crazy," he said. "I know that's what you're thinking, but I'm not." "I didn't say you were. You were thinking it, though." He smiled, tired smile. "Everyone thinks it. That's why I stopped telling people, easier that way." "How did you know I was at the shelter?" I asked. "I have cameras, set up along the coast, motion activated. I monitor sightings, document them. Been doing it since 1989. "Why?" He took a long sip of coffee. "Because on September 12th, 1989, I saw what you saw. White sphere. Hovering, silent. Changed my life. Ended my marriage. Cost me my job. But I couldn't stop. Couldn't pretend I didn't see it." "What happened that night?" I asked. Marcus leaned back, stared up at the ceiling. "I was night fishing, solo run, out past Nedard Spit. Around 2 a.m., my instruments went haywire. Compass spinning. Radio dead. Then I saw the light. About 100 yards off my stern, just appeared. No approach. No warning. Suddenly, it was there. Did it move? No, stayed in one spot for maybe 10 minutes. I tried to start my engine, wouldn't turn over, completely dead, so I just waited. What else could I do?" "What happened after the 10 minutes?" "It descended, touched the water, and when it did, the ocean around it lit up." bioluminescence, but bright. Brighter than anything natural. The whole area glowed electric blue. I could see the shape clearly then. It wasn't a sphere, it was... He paused, struggled for words. Geometric, faceted, like a crystal, and it was humming. Low frequency, made my teeth vibrate. I felt a chill run down my spine. What did you do? Nothing. I was paralyzed. Not physically, but mentally. Like something was holding my thoughts in place. I couldn't look away. Couldn't move. Just watched as this thing sat on the surface of the water. How long? Maybe 3 minutes, then it lifted off. Rose straight up, accelerated, gone in a blink, and the moment it disappeared, my engine started by itself. Radio came back on. Compass stabilized, like nothing had happened. Did you report it? Marcus laughed bitterly. Yeah, I reported it. Coast Guard said it was a flare, even though I told them it was 20 times bigger than any flare. Even though I told them about the instruments failing. They didn't care, didn't want to investigate. So you started investigating yourself. Had to. Nobody else would. He pulled out a worn notebook from his jacket, flipped through pages. I've documented 47 sightings along this coast. 47. Some are minor. Brief lights in the distance, but 13 of them are major. Close encounters. Objects hovering near shore, near that shelter specifically. Why the shelter? I asked. I don't know, but there's something about that location. The geography maybe. Or something underneath. The shelter's been there since the 1940s. Built by the Army Corps of Engineers as a weather monitoring station. Abandoned in the 60s, but before it was a shelter, you know what was there? I shook my head. Nothing. Empty point. But in the late 1800s there were reports. Fishermen seeing strange lights. Native tribes in the area had stories too. Called it the place where the sky opens. Avoided it. You think this has been happening for over 100 years? Longer. Maybe thousands of years. We just started documenting it recently. He slid the notebook across the table. Look at page 12. I opened to the page, found a list of dates and descriptions. December 3rd, 92. 2 fishermen. White sphere. Engine failure. January 18th, 1997. Solo kayaker. Light descended. Memory gap. November 2nd, 2003. Commercial vessel. Multiple witnesses. Object emerged from water. The list went on. Page after page. Each entry brief but consistent. White lights, hovering, mechanical shapes, engine failures. These are all real? I asked. Every one. I interviewed the witnesses personally. Most won't go public. Too scared or embarrassed. But they told me what they saw. I flipped to the last entry. November 14th, 2019. Commercial fishing vessel. 2 witnesses. White sphere above shelter. Symbols on roof. That was us. He'd already added our sighting. How did you know about the symbols? I asked. I went to the shelter Friday, saw them, photographed them. He pulled out his phone, showed me pictures. The 4 circles, the connecting line. These are new. I've been monitoring that building for 3 decades. Those marks appeared sometime between Wednesday night and Thursday morning. What do they mean? I don't know, but I've seen similar patterns before. Different locations. Always after a major sighting. He scrolled through more photos. Showed me images of other symbols. Some carved into rocks. Some drawn in sand. Some burned into wood. All geometric, all precise. Someone's marking the sites, he said. Or something is. You think it's the objects, the lights? I think whatever intelligence is behind the lights is leaving indicators. Maybe for us, maybe for them. Communication, navigation. I don't know. I thought about the footprints we'd seen, the 3 ovals in the frost. Marcus, have you ever seen evidence of physical presence, not just lights, but something on the ground? His expression changed, got serious. What did you see? I told him about the frost circle, the indentations, the warmth of the building's wall. Marcus went very still. You need to show me. Now? Yes. Now. Before the storm hits. We took Marcus's truck. Older Ford Ranger with rust along the wheel wells and a cracked windshield. He drove fast, navigating the coastal roads with practiced ease. We reached Barview in 20 minutes. We'll take my boat, I said. Mariana's faster. Fine, but we need to hurry. Tide's coming in. If those prints are in frost, they might not last. We loaded into the Mariana and headed north. The ocean was getting rougher. Storm clouds building on the horizon. Dark. Heavy. I pushed the boat harder than I should have. Took the swells at bad angles. Didn't care. We needed to see those prints again. Needed documentation. The shelter appeared through light rain. I brought us in close, navigated to the same rocky beach. We jumped out. Marcus had a professional camera, heavy DSLR with a long lens. He also brought measuring tools, calipers, ruler, evidence bags, the back of the shelter. We rounded the corner fast. The frost circle was still there, smaller now, melting at the edges, but the center was intact, and the footprints remained. 3 ovals, perfect triangular arrangement. Marcus dropped to his knees, started photographing immediately, multiple angles, close-ups, wide shots. He worked with the precision of someone who'd done this many times before. Incredible, he muttered. These are the clearest prints I've ever seen. You've seen others. Twice. Once in 1995 near Oceanside. Once in 2008 near Nesquin. Both times they were less defined, partial impressions. But this? He measured the ovals with calipers. Each one is exactly 17 centimeters long, 8 centimeters wide, depth of 3 centimeters. Perfectly uniform. What made them? I don't know. But they're not human, not animal. The pressure distribution is wrong. These were created by something with significant weight, at least 200 pounds per point. And the arrangement, he pulled out a protractor, measured the angles between the ovals. Exactly 120 degrees, perfect equilateral triangle. Tripedal, I said. Yes, 3 legs, 3 points of contact. He looked up at me. Whatever left these marks was standing here, on this rock, recently. I felt my skin crawl. Something had been standing here, right where we were standing. While we were on the boat? Before we arrived? After we left? Marcus took samples of the frost with a small syringe, sealed them in evidence bags. I'll have these analyzed, see if there's anything unusual in the composition. You have contacts who can do that? A few. People in the scientific community who are willing to look at data without judgment. Not many, but a few. We heard a rumble. Thunder. The storm was moving in faster than expected. Rain started falling harder. The frost was melting quickly now, the footprints becoming less defined. We need to go, I said. Marcus took a few more photos. Then we ran back to the boat. I fired up the engine and we pulled away from the shelter just as the wind picked up. Waves were building. 3 feet, 4 feet. The Mariana pitched and rolled. I kept us pointed into the swells, fighting to maintain control. By the time we reached Barview, the storm was in full force. Rain pounding, wind howling. I tied up the boat with numb fingers. Marcus helped secure everything. We ran to his truck, both of us soaked. "Thank you," he said, "for showing me. What do we do now?" I process the data, analyze the photos, run tests on the samples, and I keep monitoring. That's all I can do. "And if it comes back? The light?" Marcus looked at me. "Then you call me immediately. Doesn't matter what time, day or night. I need to document it." He gave me his number. I saved it in my phone. "Caleb," he said before I got out, "be careful. I've been doing this a long time. Seen a lot of strange things, but I've also seen how people react when you talk about this. They turn on you. Friends, family, employers. The moment you start talking about lights in the sky and strange footprints, you become the crazy person, the unreliable one. So, what do I do? Keep records, take photos, document everything. But be selective about who you tell. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of pain." I nodded, got out of the truck, ran to my own vehicle, drove home through the storm. Karen was waiting when I got home. "Where have you been? I've been calling." "Sorry, phone died. I was checking on the boat." "In this storm?" Had to make sure she was secure. Karen looked at me. That look wives give when they know you're not telling them everything. But she didn't push, just handed me a towel. "Dinner's ready. Get dry." I went upstairs, changed clothes, looked at myself in the mirror. Marcus's warning echoed in my head. Friends, family, employers, they'll turn on you. Could I tell Karen, my wife of 18 years? Could I tell her about the light, the symbols, the footprints? I decided not to. Not yet. Not until I had more answers. That was a mistake. The storm lasted through the night. Heavy rain, strong winds. Power went out around midnight. Came back at 3 a.m. I barely slept. Kept thinking about those footprints. 3 ovals. Perfect spacing. Something with 3 legs. Something heavy. Something that left marks in frost but generated enough heat to warm wood. Sunday morning broke clear. Storm had passed. I got up early, made coffee, checked my phone. Found a text from Marcus, sent at 4 a.m. "Call me when you're awake. Important." I called him immediately. "Did you sleep at all?" I asked. "No. Been processing the photos. Caleb, I found something, in the footprints. Look at your phone." I put him on speaker, opened my messages. He'd sent an image, close-up of one of the oval impressions. Magnified. "See the pattern?" he asked. I looked closer, there, in the frost, within the oval. Faint lines, circular, concentric rings. "What is that?" I asked. "I think it's a texture, from whatever made the print, like a tread pattern, but more complex. I ran it through image analysis software. The rings are spaced at exact intervals, 0.7 millimeters, consistent across the entire impression." "Manufactured," I said. "Yes, this isn't organic. This is something designed, built, with precision engineering." My hand was shaking. I set down the coffee cup. "There's more," Marcus continued. "The frost samples. I had a friend at Oregon State run a preliminary analysis. The ice crystals are normal, H2O, but there's trace elements, unusual ones, titanium oxide, aluminum oxide, and something else they couldn't identify, some kind of metallic compound." "What does that mean?" "It means whatever created that frost wasn't natural. It was a byproduct. Exhaust, maybe? Or a cooling system. Something mechanical." I sat down, tried to process this. We weren't dealing with atmospheric phenomena or misidentified aircraft. We were dealing with technology, real, physical technology. "Marcus, who else knows about this?" "Just us. And my contact at OSU. But I didn't tell him where the samples came from. He thinks it's from an industrial site. What do we do with this information? That's up to you. I can present it to people I know, researchers who study aerial phenomena, but it'll take time. And there's no guarantee they'll take it seriously. What about the government? Coast Guard? FAA? I've tried that route before. They're not interested. Unless there's a direct threat to navigation or national security, they don't investigate. And even if they did, the data would disappear into classified files. We'd never see it again. I thought about the newspaper article from 1974. 3 fishermen. Engine failure. White light. Marcus, you said you interviewed witnesses. Did you ever talk to anyone from 1974? There was an incident reported in the Headlight Herald. I tried, found 2 of the 3 fishermen. One died in 1998. The other 2 refused to talk. Told me to leave them alone. Why? Fear. One of them said that after he reported his sighting, he started getting visits. Men in suits asked him questions, told him to keep quiet, said it was a matter of national security. Men in black, I said, only half joking. Maybe, or maybe just government officials trying to suppress information. Either way, it scared him enough to stop talking. A thought occurred to me. Marcus, do you know if anyone's ever gone inside the shelter, recently? I have, about 6 months ago. Why? What's inside? Not much. Broken furniture. Old equipment. Graffiti. It's been gutted over the years. Vandals. Scavengers. Any marks? Symbols? Like the ones on the roof? He paused. No, but I wasn't looking for them. I can check again. When? Today. I need to see if the storm damaged anything anyway. You want to come? I looked at the clock. 8:30 a.m. Karen was still asleep. I could be back by noon. Yeah, I said. I'll meet you at the harbor. Bring Nora if she's willing, more eyes. I called Nora. She answered on the 3rd ring. Sounded tired. It's early, she said. I know. Can you meet me at the harbor? Marcus Holt wants to check the shelter interior, see if there's anything inside. Marcus Holt? Who's that? I explained. Told her about his research, his documentation, his evidence. We're not alone, I said. Other people have seen this, for decades. Silence on the other end. Then, okay, I'll be there in 30 minutes. We met at the dock at 9 a.m. Marcus was already there, loading equipment into a small inflatable dinghy. More cameras, flashlights, climbing gear. We'll take my boat, he said. Easier to beach. The 3 of us loaded in and headed north. The ocean was calm after the storm. Glassy. Almost unnaturally calm. Like Thursday. That same eerie stillness. Nora noticed it too. Feels weird again. Yeah, I agreed. The shelter appeared ahead. No lights, no glow, just an old building. We beached the dinghy and climbed up to the structure. The front door was hanging off its hinges. Marcus pushed it open. We entered. Inside was exactly as he'd described. Empty. Debris scattered across the floor. Broken glass. Rotting wood. Graffiti on the walls. Standard abandoned building. But the air felt wrong. Heavy, like the pressure was different. My ears popped. You feel that? Nora asked. Yeah, Marcus said. He pulled out a device from his pack. A small, handheld unit with a digital readout. Electromagnetic field detector measures EMF fluctuations. He turned it on. The device beeped, then beeped faster, then started a continuous tone. That's not normal, he said. What's it reading? I asked. Off the scale. 20 milgauss. Background EMF should be 0.5. This is 40 times higher. What causes that? Electrical equipment, power lines, Or he trailed off. Or what? Residual energy from something that was here recently. We moved deeper into the building. The EMF detector kept beeping. Faster in some areas, slower in others. Marcus was mapping it, taking readings at different points. There, Nora said, pointing at the wall. I looked, saw it, carved into the wood, not painted, carved, fresh cuts, the same symbol from the roof. 4 circles, 1 line, but there was more. Below the symbol, text, letters, not English, not any language I recognized. Marcus, I said, look at this. He came over, stared at the carving, pulled out his camera, started photographing. I've never seen this before, he said. This wasn't here 6 months ago. Can you read it? Nora asked. No, but I know someone who might be able to. He traced the letters with his finger. These cuts are fresh, within the last week, maybe within the last few days. After Thursday, I said. Yes, after your sighting. A sound from outside. All 3 of us froze. A hum, low, rhythmic, growing louder. We need to leave, Marcus said. Now. We ran for the door, got outside. The sound was coming from above. We looked up. Nothing. Empty sky. But the sound continued, and the building behind us started to vibrate. The boat! Marcus shouted. We ran down to the beach. The dinghy was still there. We pushed it into the water, jumped in. Marcus started the outboard motor. We pulled away from the shelter. The sound intensified. The building was shaking now. Pieces of wood falling, the roof sagging. And then the symbols on the roof began to glow. Blue light, bright, getting brighter. Go, go, I shouted. Marcus opened the throttle. The dinghy shot forward. We were 50 yards out when it happened. A beam of light, white, brilliant, shot down from the sky, hit the shelter directly. The entire building lit up, glowed, like it was made of light instead of wood. The beam lasted maybe 5 seconds. Then it vanished. The glow faded, the sound stopped. The shelter was still standing, but different. The wood looked darker, charred, smoking. We floated there, staring. None of us spoke. Finally, Marcus said, "Did you record that?" I checked my phone. I'd been holding it. Had I hit record? Yes. The video was running. I'd captured the whole thing. "I got it," I said. "Send it to me immediately." I sent the video to Marcus, to Nora, saved copies to cloud storage, multiple backups. We headed back to Barview, didn't talk. What could we say? We'd just witnessed something impossible, again. When we reached the dock, Marcus pulled out his phone. Made a call. "It's me," he said. "It happened again, today. I have video, multiple witnesses. We need to meet, tonight." He listened. "No, it can't wait. This is active, this is ongoing." Listened again. "Fine, 8 p.m., same place." He hung up. "Who was that?" I asked. "Someone who can help. Someone who has access to resources we don't. I've been working with them for years. They'll want to talk to you, both of you. Are you willing?" Nora and I looked at each other. Nodded. "Yeah," I said, "we're willing." The meeting place was an old motel outside Tillamook. The Sandy Shore Inn. 2-story building from the 1960s. Faded paint. Neon sign with half the letters burned out. The kind of place where you pay cash and don't ask questions. Marcus met us in the parking lot at 7:45 p.m. "Room 12, second floor, she's already here." "She?" Nora asked. "Dr. Elena Vasquez, aerospace engineer. Works at a private research facility. She's been studying aerial phenomena for 20 years. We climbed the exterior stairs. Marcus knocked on the door of room 12, 3 times. Pause, 2 times. The door opened. Dr. Vasquez was younger than I expected, maybe 40. Dark hair pulled back, glasses, wearing jeans and a university sweatshirt. She looked more like a grad student than a doctor. "Come in," she said, quickly. The room was small. 2 beds, 1 table. But the table was covered with equipment. Laptops, monitors, a portable server rack, cables everywhere. This wasn't a casual meeting. This was a mobile operations center. "Sit," Dr. Vasquez said. "Marcus told me what happened. I need to see the video." I pulled out my phone, showed her the footage from that morning. The beam of light, the shelter glowing. She watched it 3 times, didn't speak, just watched. Then she plugged my phone into one of her laptops, started running analysis software. "The beam," she said after a few minutes. "It's not visible spectrum only. Look at this." She pulled up a modified version of the video. The beam was different now, surrounded by a corona of colors that weren't there before. Purples, greens, wavelengths outside normal light. "Ultraviolet," she said, "and infrared. Your camera captured it because phone sensors have wider ranges than human eyes. This beam is multispectrum, deliberately so." "What's the purpose?" Marcus asked. "Could be several things. Communication, energy transfer, scanning, maybe all 3. She pulled up another window, showed us a spectrographic analysis. The light pulse follows a pattern, repeating sequence, every 0.8 seconds. See? She highlighted the peaks. "This is structured, intentional." "A signal," I said. "Yes, but more than that. Look at the intensity curve." She zoomed in. "These microfluctuations, they're encoding data, information embedded in the light itself." "What kind of information?" Nora asked. "I don't know. I'd need more samples to decode it, but I can tell you this is sophisticated technology, far beyond anything commercially available." "Military," I suggested. Dr. Vasquez shook her head. "Military uses lasers for targeting, illumination. This isn't that. The wavelength distribution is all wrong. And the energy output," she showed us numbers. "This beam delivered approximately 50 megajoules in 5 seconds. That's equivalent to 12 kilograms of TNT. If this was military tech, that shelter would be vaporized, but it's intact. Damaged, but intact." "Controlled release," Marcus said. "Exactly. Whatever generated this beam had precise control over energy dispersion. Could have destroyed that building, chose not to." "Why?" I asked. "Maybe the building isn't the target. Maybe it's a marker, a beacon." She pulled up the photos of the symbols, the 4 circles, the connecting line. "These appear at every major sighting, different locations, but always the same configuration. I think they're navigational markers." "For what?" Nora asked. Dr. Vasquez pulled up a map on one of her monitors. Tillamook County. She'd marked dozens of points along the coast. "These are all reported sighting locations going back 60 years. Look at the pattern." I looked. The points formed a line, north to south, following the coastline, but not random. Evenly spaced. About 5 miles between each point. "This is deliberate placement," she said. "A network, a grid, covering the entire coastal zone." "For what purpose?" Marcus asked. "I think they're studying the area, long-term, systematic. These markers designate measurement points. The lights are collection events, gathering data." "Data about what?" I asked. "I don't know. Could be geological, atmospheric, oceanic. Could be biological. Studying human response. Could be something we don't have context to understand yet." Nora leaned forward. "You're saying these things. These lights, these objects, they're running experiments. I am saying the behavior suggests scientific methodology. Observation, measurement, record-keeping. These aren't random encounters. They're organized, systematic. And they've been happening for a very long time. She pulled up another document. Historical records, reports from the 1800s, newspaper clippings, ship logs, journal entries, all describing lights along the Oregon coast. The Tillamook Bay area has the highest concentration of reports, she said, more than anywhere else in the Pacific Northwest. Why? What makes this location special? Marcus spoke up. The native tribes had stories, called it the place where the sky opens. Exactly. Indigenous knowledge often preserves information we've lost or ignored. They knew something was happening here, long before we started documenting it. So, what do? I asked. We have video, photos, physical evidence. Who do we show it to? Dr. Vasquez's expression darkened. That's complicated. Why? Because the moment you go public with this, you lose control of the information. It gets analyzed, debunked, ridiculed, or worse, it gets classified, buried, and she looked at each of us. You become targets. Targets for what? Nora asked. Scrutiny, harassment. I've seen it happen dozens of times. People come forward with credible evidence, good data, and their lives fall apart. Jobs lost, relationships destroyed. Some even receive threats. From who? I asked. Sometimes from skeptics. People who feel threatened by challenges to their worldview. Sometimes from government entities who don't want this information public. And sometimes, she paused. Sometimes from other researchers. Competition for recognition can make people vicious. Marcus nodded. She's right. I've experienced it. 20 years of documentation, hundreds of reports, and I've been called a fraud, a liar, a con artist, all because I refuse to say these sightings are weather balloons or airplane lights. So we just stay silent? I asked. Pretend we didn't see anything? No, Dr. Vasquez said. We document, we analyze, we build an airtight case, and when we have enough evidence, when the data is so overwhelming it can't be dismissed, then we go public, but carefully, strategically. How much evidence is enough? Nora asked. More than we have now. We need multiple incidents, multiple witnesses, preferably some physical artifact, something that can be tested independently, verified by different labs. The frost samples, Marcus said. The trace elements, that's physical evidence. It's a start, but not enough. We need something more definitive, something that can't be explained by natural or man-made sources. I thought about the footprints, the 3 ovals, the texture pattern. What about the impressions we found, the ones in the frost? Those are intriguing, but they're gone now. Melted. We have photos, but photos can be faked. We need something current, something we can monitor in real time. You want us to go back, I said. I want you to set up surveillance, cameras, sensors. Monitor the shelter continuously. If there's another event, and I believe there will be, we need to capture it with professional equipment, multiple angles, full spectrum imaging. That's the kind of data that can't be dismissed. Marcus was already nodding. I have equipment. Not as sophisticated as I'd like, but it'll work. I can have a system set up by tomorrow. Do it, Dr. Vasquez said, and keep me updated. Any anomaly, any change. I want to know immediately. What about us? I asked. Nora and I. We're just fishermen. We don't know anything about this stuff. You're witnesses. That's valuable. You've experienced direct contact. Your testimony carries weight. But more than that, she looked at both of us. You're not afraid. Most people who see what you've seen run away. Never go back. But you kept investigating. That takes courage. We need people like you." The meeting ended around 10 p.m. Dr. Vasquez packed up her equipment, gave us encrypted communication protocols, told us to document everything. Trust no one else. We left the motel separately. Marcus first, then Dr. Vasquez, then Nora and I together. "This is real," Nora said as we drove back to Barview. "All of it. We're not imagining this. No, we're not." "I'm scared, Caleb." "Me too. But I need to know. I need to understand what this is, why it's happening." "Yeah, me too." We reached her house around 11. She got out, paused before closing the door. "Whatever happens next," she said, "we're in this together, right?" "Right." She closed the door. I drove home. Karen was still awake, sitting in the living room, watching TV with the volume low. "Long day," she said when I came in. "Yeah, boat maintenance, storm damage." She looked at me, that look again, knowing I wasn't telling her everything. But she didn't push. "Come to bed soon," she said. "You look exhausted." "I will." She went upstairs. I sat in the living room, stared at my phone, at the video of the light beam hitting the shelter. This was real. Dr. Vasquez confirmed it. Marcus documented it. We had evidence. But what did it mean? Why here? Why this coast? Why that shelter? I thought about what Dr. Vasquez said. Systematic observation, scientific methodology, long-term study. What were they studying? The ocean? The geology? The people? Us? I finally went to bed around midnight, lay next to Karen, listened to her breathing, thought about whether I should tell her, whether she deserved to know. Tomorrow, I decided. I'll tell her tomorrow. But tomorrow came and I didn't tell her, because Marcus called at 6 a.m. It's back, the light. It's at the shelter right now. I was out of bed instantly. "I'm on my way. Bring your camera, and hurry. I don't know how long it'll stay." I threw on clothes, grabbed my phone, ran downstairs. Karen called after me, but I didn't stop. Got in my truck, drove to Barview faster than I should have. Marcus was already on his boat. Engine running. Nora was with him. They must have called her too. "Go!" Marcus shouted when he saw me. I jumped aboard. We shot out of the harbor, full throttle. The sun was just starting to rise. Orange light on the horizon. But ahead, to the north, another light. White. Brilliant. Hovering above the shelter. "It's been there for 10 minutes, Marcus said. "Stationary, no movement." We approached fast. Marcus had 3 cameras set up, recording from different angles, full-spectrum sensors, EMF detectors, every piece of equipment he owned. When we got within 200 yards, the light pulsed. That same rhythm, slow, deliberate, like breathing. Then it descended, touched the roof of the shelter. The building lit up. Blue glow, intense. The symbols on the roof blazed like they were on fire. And then something appeared. Inside the light, a shape. Solid, metallic, geometric surfaces catching and reflecting in impossible ways. "Oh my God," Nora whispered. The shape was large, maybe 30 feet across, hovering, silent. It rotated slowly, revealing facets, panels, lines that might have been seams or might have been decorative, no wings, no visible propulsion. Just floating, defying gravity. Marcus was recording everything. "This is incredible. This is proof." The object rotated faster, then stopped. One side facing us directly, and on that side, carved or etched or somehow embedded in the surface, we saw it. The symbol. 4 circles, 1 line. "It's the same mark," I said. "They're marking themselves." The object pulsed again, brighter. The light expanded, washed over us. I felt that vibration in my chest, that pull, like gravity reversing. "Hold on!" Marcus shouted. But there was nothing to hold on to. The sensation was inside me, lifting. My body felt light, weightless. I looked at Nora. She was rising, feet leaving the deck, floating. "Marcus!" I tried to grab something, anything, but my hands passed through empty air. The light intensified. Everything went white. Pure, absolute, white. And then I was somewhere else, not on the boat, not on the ocean. Somewhere else. A room, large, circular. Walls that glowed faintly, not lit by lights. The walls themselves emitted luminescence, soft, blue-white. Like moonlight. I was standing. How was I standing? I'd been floating, but now my feet were on a solid floor, smooth, slightly warm, made of something I couldn't identify, not metal, not stone, something in between. "Caleb?" Nora's voice. Behind me. I turned. She was there, 20 feet away, looking as confused as I felt. "Where are we?" she asked. "I don't know." Marcus appeared. Not walked in, just appeared. Like he materialized from nothing. He looked around, took in the space. His expression was shock and wonder. "We're inside," he said. "We're inside the object." The walls changed, became transparent, and through them I could see Earth. The curve of the planet, the blue of the ocean, the green and brown of land. We were in space, or high atmosphere, impossible to tell. "How?" I started to say. A figure appeared, in the center of the room. Tall, 7 feet maybe, slender, wearing something that looked like a suit but moved like liquid. Smooth surfaces, no visible seams. The head was covered. A helmet, or maybe not a helmet, maybe just part of their biology. I couldn't tell. They didn't speak, but I heard a voice. Inside my head. Not words, concepts, ideas flowing directly into my consciousness. Observation, study, understanding, time. More figures appeared. 3 of them, each standing at equidistant points around the room, the same height, the same suit covering. They moved with fluid grace, no wasted motion. One of them approached. Came within 10 feet of me. I could see through the helmet now. Not a face. Not exactly. Features that suggested eyes. A mouth, but different. Proportions wrong. Or maybe just different from human. Communication. Exchange. Questions. And then images flooded my mind. Not my memories. Theirs. I saw Earth from above, saw the coast, the shelter. Multiple shelters. All along the Pacific, up into Canada, down into California. Hundreds of them. Each marked with the same symbol. Network, grid, measurement. I saw a timeline, stretching back, centuries. Millennia, the coast changing, ice ages, sea levels rising and falling. But the light's always there. Watching. Recording. Purpose. Preservation. Archive. They were archiving Earth. Documenting everything. Every change. Every evolution. A vast library of planetary data. And humans were part of that data. But not just observation. Interaction. Contact. Throughout history. Selected individuals. Given information. Given experiences. To prepare. Prepare for what? Change. Coming. Inevitable. The figure touched my forehead. Not physically. The hand stopped inches away. but I felt contact, energy, warmth. And suddenly I knew things I hadn't known before. The shelter wasn't just a marker, it was a node, part of a network that spanned the planet. Thousands of nodes, all collecting data, all connected, all feeding into something larger. And the footprints, the 3 ovals, those were maintenance signatures, beings who serviced the network. Biological, but engineered. Created for specific functions. They weren't the intelligence behind this, they were tools, servants. The intelligence was elsewhere, watching through these nodes, processing data, learning about Earth and its inhabitants. Why? Because Earth was changing. Climate, biology, technology. Humanity was approaching a threshold, a moment where we would either evolve or collapse. And they wanted to know which, wanted to help if possible. But they couldn't intervene directly, some rule, some protocol. They could only observe, offer subtle guidance. Wait. The images stopped, the figure withdrew, stepped back. Choice, yours. Share or silent. And then we were back on the boat, all 3 of us, standing on the deck. The white light was gone, the object was gone, just open ocean and the shelter in the distance. My phone showed 20 seconds had passed since we'd started floating. 20 seconds. But I'd experienced what felt like 10 minutes, maybe more. Did that? Nora started. Couldn't finish. Yeah, Marcus said. It happened. We looked at each other, all of us trying to process, trying to understand what we'd just experienced. Marcus checked his cameras. All 3 had recorded. 20 seconds of white light. Then nothing, no room, no figures, no Earth from space, just our boat, floating on the ocean. They won't believe it, he said, even with this footage. They'll say it's a glitch, overexposure. They won't see what we saw. Because what we saw wasn't physical, I said. Not entirely, it was consciousness. Direct transfer of information. Contact, Nora said. That was first contact. We headed back to Barview. Silent. Processing. When we reached the dock, Dr. Vasquez was waiting. She must have been monitoring, knew something happened. Tell me everything, she said. We did. The whole experience, the room, the figures, the information download. She recorded it all, took notes, asked questions. When we finished, she sat back, looked at us with an expression I couldn't read. This changes everything, she said. This is direct communication, conscious contact. If what you experienced is true, and I believe it is, then we're not dealing with simple observation anymore. They're revealing themselves, deliberately, choosing witnesses. Why us? I asked. I don't know, but there's a pattern. People who keep investigating, who don't run away, who try to understand. Those are the ones they contact, the ones they show things to. What do we do now? Marcus asked. Dr. Vasquez thought for a long moment. We documented everything, every detail, and then she looked at each of us. Then we decide, together, whether to go public, whether humanity is ready for this information. Are we? Nora asked. Ready? I don't know. But I think they're giving us a choice. Share what you know, or stay silent. Either way, they'll keep watching, keep recording. They've been here longer than us. They'll be here after we're gone. We left it there. No decision made. No press conference scheduled. Just agreement to continue documenting. Continue learning. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, the lights have appeared twice more. Both times at the shelter. Both times with the same pattern. Pulse, descend, display, then departure. Marcus has gathered enough data to fill multiple hard drives. Dr. Vasquez is analyzing it. Building a case. Preparing for eventual disclosure. And me, I'm still fishing. Still going out on the Mariana with Nora. Still checking crab pots and watching the weather. But I'm also watching the sky, watching the coast, waiting for the next light. Because I know they're still there, still observing, still recording. The shelter stands empty. The symbols remain on the roof. If you go there, and I don't recommend you do, you'll see them. 4 circles. 1 line, a message, a marker, a node in a network that spans the globe. And if you're there at the right time in the right conditions, you might see the light. That white sphere, hovering, pulsing, breathing. If you do, you have a choice. Run. Forget. Pretend it didn't happen. Or stay. Watch. Try to understand. That's the choice they're giving us. That's the choice they gave me. I chose to understand. And now I can't unknown what I know. Can't unsee what I've seen. The Tillamook light is real. The network is real. They are real. And they're still here. Still watching. Still waiting for us to be ready. Maybe we will be. Someday. Or maybe we'll ignore the evidence. Dismiss the sightings. Call it weather and swamp gas and misidentified aircraft. That's our choice. Individually, collectively. But whether we believe or not, they'll keep watching, keep recording, keep waiting. Because that's what they do. That's what they've always done, and that's what they'll keep doing. Long after we're gone, the ocean doesn't care what you believe, neither do they. They just watch, and wait, and record everything. My name is Logan Holt. I'm a journalist. Or I was. I'm not sure what I am anymore after what happened at Cape Kawanda. After what I saw through that camera, after what I didn't see with my own eyes. This is my account. Everything I'm about to tell you is documented, recorded, witnessed by 2 people, me and Tessa Ward. She's a park ranger at Cape Kawanda State Natural Area. Has been for 6 years. Knows every inch of that coastline, every rock, every tide pool, every shadow. She's the one who called me. March 3rd, 2024. A Saturday. I was at my apartment in Portland, working on a story about contaminated groundwater in Clackamas County. Small story, local interest only, the kind of piece that pays bills but doesn't win awards. My phone rang around 2 p.m. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Logan Holt, a woman's voice. Calm. Professional. Yes. Who's this? My name is Tessa Ward. I'm a ranger at Cape Kawanda. I got your number from David Brennan. He said you investigate unusual phenomena. David Brennan. I knew him. Fellow journalist. Worked for the Oregonian. Covered weird stories. UFO sightings, Bigfoot reports, paranormal claims. Good guy, solid researcher. If he gave her my number, she wasn't a crank. What kind of unusual phenomena? I asked. Lights, on the beach, at night. Multiple witnesses over the past month. I've seen them myself, 3 times now. Lights could be a lot of things. Boats, drones, people with flashlights. These aren't boats or drones. I know what those look like. These are different. Different how? She paused. I could hear wind in the background. Ocean sounds. She was calling from the coast. They appear and disappear. They move in ways that don't make sense. And there's something else. Something I can't explain over the phone. I need you to see it. See what? The reflection problem. The what? Just Can you come down here tonight? I'll show you. If you think it's nothing after you see it, fine. I'll never bother you again. But I think you'll want to document this. I should have said no. Should have told her to call the local news, or the Coast Guard, or whoever handles strange lights on beaches. But something in her voice, the way she said reflection problem, like those two words meant something, something important. I can be there by 6, I said. Good. Meet me at the parking area, north end. I'll wait until 6:30. If you're not there by then, I'll assume you're not coming. She hung up. No goodbye, no small talk. Straight to the point. I like that. I grabbed my gear. Camera, backup camera, tripod, external hard drive, notebook, 2 pens, extra batteries. Everything I'd need to document whatever this reflection problem was. The drive from Portland to Cape Kiwanda takes about 2 hours. Highway 26 west to the coast, then south on 101. The weather was typical for March. Gray, drizzling. Temperature in the mid-40s. I stopped for gas in Tillamook. Bought coffee. Black. 2 sugars. I reached Cape Kiwanda at 5:50 p.m. The sun was setting. What little sun there was. Sky was heavy with clouds, dark. The ocean was rough. Waves crashing against the rocks. White foam. Spray in the air. The parking area was nearly empty. 1 vehicle. A park service truck. Green. Official looking. A woman was standing beside it. Tall, maybe 5'10". Dark jacket. Ranger uniform underneath. Short brown hair, early 30s. She was watching the road, waiting. I pulled up next to her truck, got out. "Logan Holt?" she asked. "That's me. Tessa Ward?" "Yeah." She shook my hand. Firm grip. Calloused fingers. Someone who worked outdoors. "Thanks for coming." "What am I looking at?" She gestured toward the beach. "This way. Better to show you than tell you." We walked down to the sand. The tide was going out. Wet rocks everywhere. Seaweed, driftwood, the smell of salt and decay. Kelp rotting in piles. The wind was strong, constant. It never stops at Cape Kiwanda. Never has. "The lights appear after dark," Tessa said. "Usually between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. They've been reported by at least a dozen people. Campers, late-night walkers, one fisherman who was out on the rocks. What do they look like? White, sometimes yellowish, about the size of a basketball. They hover, low to the ground, maybe 3 feet up. They move slowly, drift along the beach. Then they vanish. Duration varies. Shortest sighting was maybe 30 seconds. Longest was almost 10 minutes. Have you photographed them? Yes, multiple times. She pulled out her phone, showed me pictures. Blurry orbs of light against dark backgrounds. Could have been anything. Car headlights, lanterns, long exposure artifacts. "These could be explained," I said. "I know. That's not why I called you." She swiped to another photo. "This is why." The image showed a light, a single white sphere, clear, defined. But beside it, slightly offset, was something else, a shadow, or an outline. Faint, like a second light that wasn't quite there. "What am I looking at?" I asked. "That's the reflection problem. When you see the lights with your naked eye, you see one. Just one. But when you look through a camera, any camera, phone or professional, you see more. More lights? Not exactly. More like echoes. Copies that exist in the lens but not in reality. I've tested it multiple times, same result. What you see and what the camera captures don't match. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the wind. That's impossible. I know. That's why I need someone to verify it. Someone with equipment, someone who won't think I'm making it up. When did you first notice this? 3 weeks ago, February 11th. I was doing a night patrol. Saw a light near the tide pools. Took a picture. When I reviewed it later, I saw 3 lights in the frame. But I only saw one with my eyes. I thought it was a glitch, lens flare, something technical. So I tested it again the next night when the lights appeared. Same thing. 1 light visible, 3 in the camera. Same location? Yes, always near the tide pools. North end of the beach. That's where we're going tonight. We walked north. The beach curved around the base of Cape Kawanda. The famous sandstone formation jutted out into the ocean. Orange and gold when the sun hits it. Now it was just dark. A massive shadow against the gray sky. The tide pools were ahead. Shallow depressions in the rock, filled with seawater, anemones, small fish, hermit crabs, normal tide pool stuff. But the area around them felt different, colder. The wind had a strange quality here, like it was coming from multiple directions at once. "This is the spot," Tessa said. "We'll set up here, wait for dark. If they appear tonight, you'll see what I mean." I started unpacking my camera gear, set up the tripod, mounted my main camera. A Canon EOS R5, professional grade, full-frame sensor. If there was something to see, this would capture it. "What time do they usually show up?" I asked. "No pattern, sometimes 9, sometimes midnight, sometimes not at all. But they've appeared 4 out of the last 7 nights, so odds are good." "And you have no explanation for them?" "None. I've ruled out boats, drones, flashlights, vehicles on the beach access road. These lights don't behave like anything man-made." "What about animals?" "Bioluminescence. Wrong environment, wrong season, and bioluminescence doesn't hover 3 feet off the ground. Natural gas. Swamp gas. There's no swamp, no gas pockets, just sand and rock and ocean." I looked at her. "You believe these are something anomalous, don't you?" She met my eyes. "I believe there's something I can't explain. Something that shouldn't exist according to everything I know about this beach. And I've worked here 6 years. I know this place. These lights don't belong." The sun finished setting. What little light there was drained from the sky. Darkness settled in. Heavy. Complete. The kind of darkness you only get on remote coastlines. No light pollution, no nearby towns. Just ocean and night. We waited. Tessa had a thermos of coffee. We shared it. Didn't talk much. Just watched. Listened. The waves, the wind, the occasional cry of a seagull settling in for the night. 9 p.m. came and went. Nothing. 10 p.m., still nothing. I started to think this would be a wasted trip. A long drive for nothing. But then Tessa grabbed my arm. "There," she whispered. I looked where she was pointing. North, maybe 50 yards away. A light, white, pale, hovering just above the sand. It wasn't bright, more like a glow, like looking at the moon through fog. "Do you see it?" she asked. "Yes, one light." "Look through your camera." I pressed my eye to the viewfinder, adjusted focus. The light came into sharp relief, clear, defined. And beside it, slightly to the left, another light, fainter. And another, even fainter. 3 lights total in the frame. But when I looked with my naked eye, I only saw 1. "I see 3, I said. "In the camera, 3 lights. But with your eyes, just 1. That's the reflection problem." I started recording. Kept the camera trained on the lights. They weren't moving, just hovering. Pulsing slightly, like they were breathing. Then they started to drift. Slowly, north to south, moving along the beach. The primary light, the one I could see with my eyes, led. The other two followed, maintaining the same spacing, the same offset. "Follow them," Tessa said. We moved parallel to the lights, staying about 40 yards away. I kept recording. The lights moved at walking speed. Steady. No variation. No change in altitude. Just smooth horizontal movement. The wind shifted, changed direction. Now it was coming from the ocean, straight on shore. And with it came a smell. Not salt, not seaweed. Something else. Metallic, like copper or iron. Strong enough to taste. "Do you smell that?" I asked. "Yes, metal. It happens when the lights appear. I don't know why." The light stopped, hovered in place. The metallic smell grew stronger. My eyes started to water. Not from wind, from the smell. It was overwhelming. Then the lights began to pulse faster, synchronized, all three visible in my camera, flashing in rhythm, once per second, exactly, like a heartbeat. I checked my watch, noted the time, 10:47 p.m., wrote it in my notebook, kept recording. The pulsing accelerated, 2 times per second, 3 times, 4 times, getting faster. The metallic smell intensified. My head started to hurt, a pressure behind my eyes, like the beginning of a migraine. "Logan," Tessa said. Her voice was strained. "Something's wrong." I looked at her. She was pale, sweating despite the cold. Her hand was pressed to her temple. "You feel it too?" I asked. "Yeah, pressure in my head. It started when they began pulsing." I looked back at the lights. Through the camera, all three were now flashing in perfect sync. Rapid, maybe 10 times per second. Too fast to count. The image in the viewfinder started to blur. Not from focus issues, from the lights themselves, like they were vibrating, moving between positions too fast to track. Then they stopped. Completely. No pulsing. No movement. Just 3 steady lights hanging in the darkness. And the wind died. Completely. Instantly. One moment it was blowing hard enough to make my jacket snap. The next moment, dead calm. No movement. No sound except the waves. That's not natural. Wind on the coast doesn't just stop. It shifts. It varies. But it doesn't stop. Not like that. "Tessa," I said quietly. "When has this happened before?" "Never. The lights move, they pulse sometimes, but the wind has never stopped." The silence was absolute. Even the waves sounded muffled, distant, like we were inside something, enclosed, cut off from the normal world. I kept recording, didn't move, didn't speak, just watched through the viewfinder. The lights began to rise, slowly, vertically, ascending straight up. They maintained formation, same spacing, same offset, rising together. When they reached about 30 feet, they stopped again, hovered, and then they changed color. The primary light, the one visible to naked eye, turned blue, pale blue, like ice. The other two, visible only through the camera, turned red. "Are you seeing this?" I asked. "The blue light, yes. What are you seeing in the camera?" 3 lights, 1 blue, 2 red. The other 2 are red, yes." She pulled out her phone, started recording, looked at her screen. "I see them now. 3 lights, 1 blue, 2 red. It's showing up on my phone too." The lights began to move again. Not drifting, moving deliberately. They formed a triangle. Perfect equilateral triangle. The blue light at the apex. The 2 red lights at the base. And they started to rotate. Slowly, like a wheel turning in the air. The metallic smell came back. Stronger than before, so strong I could taste blood. My nose started to bleed. Not a lot, just a trickle. I wiped it with my sleeve, kept recording. Tessa's nose was bleeding too. "Logan, we should leave." "Not yet. I need to document this. We're bleeding. That's not good." Just a few more minutes. The triangle of lights rotated faster. The blue light began to pulse again. Bright, dim, bright, dim. Each pulse accompanied by a sound. Low frequency. Barely audible. Like a bass note played too low for human hearing. You couldn't hear it, but you could feel it. In your chest. In your bones. And then something appeared inside the triangle. A shape. Dark. Solid. It wasn't lit, it blocked the light from behind. Like an object passing in front of the lights. Large. Maybe 20 feet across, angular, with surfaces that caught the light in strange ways. "Oh God," Tessa whispered. "What is that?" "I don't know." The shape rotated, slowly, and I saw detail. Edges, corners, panels. It looked manufactured, constructed, not natural, not organic. Something made with purpose, with design. I zoomed in with the camera. The shape came into focus. It was covered in symbols. Geometric patterns, lines and circles, shapes within shapes. They weren't painted on. They were part of the surface, embedded, like circuitry. Like a three-dimensional schematic, the object rotated to face us directly. And where there should have been a front or a face or some indication of direction, there was only a smooth panel. Reflective, mirror-like. I could see myself in it. See Tessa beside me. See the beach behind us. But the reflection was wrong. In the panel's reflection, the beach was different. The rocks were in different positions. The driftwood was gone, and the sky was clear, full of stars, even though the real sky above us was overcast. "The reflection," I said. "Look at the reflection in that surface." Tessa looked. That's not this beach, is it?" "No, it's different. Similar, but different." "Is it showing us another place? Or another time, I don't know." The object began to descend, slowly, coming down toward the beach, toward us. The lights stayed in formation around it, blue on top, red on the sides, illuminating it from 3 angles. "We need to go," Tessa said. "Now." She was right. This had gone beyond documentation, beyond investigation. This was something else, something potentially dangerous. "Okay," I said, "back to the trucks." We turned to leave, and that's when we saw them. Figures, standing on the beach, between us and the parking area. 3 of them, tall, maybe 7 feet, slender, wearing something dark. Suits maybe, or skin, hard to tell in the darkness. They weren't moving, just standing there, watching. "Who are they?" Tessa whispered. "I don't know." One of them moved, stepped forward. Not walking, gliding, like their feet weren't touching the sand. They approached to within 30 feet. Stopped. I raised my camera, pointed it at them, looked through the viewfinder. Through the lens I could see more detail. The figure wasn't wearing a suit. That was their body, smooth, dark gray. Proportions wrong for human, arms too long, legs too thin, head too large. And the face, if you could call it a face, 2 large eyes, almond-shaped, reflective. Like mirrors, no nose, a line where the mouth should be. I took photos, multiple shots, rapid fire, the shutter clicking, each flash briefly illuminating the figures. And with each flash they got closer, not moving between flashes. But each time the light went off, they were nearer. 5 feet closer, then 10 feet, then 15. "Stop taking pictures!" Tessa shouted. I stopped. The figures froze in place, about 10 feet away now, close enough to touch. One of them raised an arm, pointed at my camera, and I heard a voice, not out loud, in my head. Words forming directly in my consciousness: record, document, share. What? I said aloud. Record, document, share, important. Who are you? I asked. The figure tilted its head, like it was considering the question. Then more words formed. Observers, archivists, witnesses. Witnesses to what? Change, transition, evolution. I don't understand. You will. Continue recording. Important. The figure lowered its arm, stepped back, and all three of them began to fade. Not walking away. Fading. Becoming transparent, less solid. Within seconds they were gone. Vanished. The object in the sky, the angular shape surrounded by lights, began to ascend. Rising quickly, accelerating. Within moments it was high above the beach, 100 feet, 200 feet. Then it shot upward at impossible speed, gone in a blink. The wind came back, suddenly, violently, nearly knocked me over. The metallic smell dissipated. The pressure in my head released. Everything returned to normal. Normal except for what we'd just witnessed, what we'd just recorded. Tessa and I stood there, not speaking, just breathing, processing. Did that just happen? She finally asked. Yes, I have it on camera, all of it. The figures, the object, the lights, all of it. What do we do now? I looked at my camera, at the memory card inside. Hours of footage. Hundreds of photos. Evidence. Real. Undeniable. Evidence. Now, I said, we document everything. Write it down. Analyze the footage. And then we decide what to do with it. We walked back to the parking area. My hands were shaking. Not from cold. From adrenaline. From fear. From excitement. From all of it. When we reached the trucks, Tessa turned to me. Logan, those things, those figures, they wanted us to record this. They wanted documentation. I know. Why? I don't know. But they called themselves observers, archivists, witnesses, like they're documenting something too. Documenting what? Us, humanity, this place, this time. I don't know. But whatever it is, they think it's important enough to show themselves, to make contact. Do you think they're dangerous? I don't know. But they had opportunities to harm us. They didn't. They communicated, gave a message, then left. The message was to share what we recorded. Yes, that's what they said. Are we going to? I thought about that. About the implications. About what would happen if we released this footage. The scrutiny. The skepticism. The ridicule. But also the possibility. The chance that this could change everything. Could prove we're not alone. We're going to analyze it first, I said. Make sure we understand what we have. Then we decide. Tessa nodded. Okay. When should we meet again? Tomorrow. I need to review all this footage. Process what happened. Can you take tomorrow off? I'll call in. Tell them I'm sick. Meet me at my place in Portland, noon. Bring any additional recordings or notes you have. We'll go through everything together. Okay. She paused, looked back at the beach. Logan, I've lived here my whole life. Grown up on this coast. I've never experienced anything like that. Never believed in any of this stuff, but now, I know. Everything changes after something like this. Yeah, everything changes. She got in her truck, drove away. I sat in my car for a while, looked out at the dark ocean, at the beach where we'd just witnessed something impossible. My nose had stopped bleeding. The headache was gone, but I could still taste metal, still smell it faintly on my jacket. I pulled out my notebook, started writing. Everything I could remember, times, descriptions, sequence of events, every detail, while it was still fresh. When I finished writing, it was past midnight. I started my car, drove back to Portland. The roads were empty. Just me and the night and the weight of what I'd witnessed. I got home around 2:30 a.m. Didn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. Just sat at my computer. Downloaded the footage from my camera. Started reviewing it. Everything was there. The lights, the object, the rotating triangle, the figures. All captured in high definition. Clear. Undeniable. I watched the section where the figures appeared. Slowed it down, frame by frame. And I saw something I'd missed in the moment. When the figures were getting closer with each camera flash, they weren't just moving. They were changing. Slightly. Each version of them was different. Like I was photographing them at different points in time, different moments of their existence. All compressed into seconds. That's why they moved in flashes. They weren't moving through space. They were moving through time, appearing at different temporal points. Each flash of the camera capturing a different moment. The reflection problem. That's what Tessa had called it. What you see and what the camera captures don't match, because the camera was seeing something else, something additional, something that existed in a different way than we perceived. I kept watching, kept analyzing, lost track of time. When I finally looked at the clock, it was 8 a.m. The sun was coming up. I made coffee, sat on my couch, tried to make sense of what I knew. The lights existed, real, physical, captured on camera. The object existed, angular, covered in symbols, reflective surface showing alternate versions of reality. The figures existed, tall, non-human, communicating telepathically, requesting documentation. And they wanted us to share it, wanted the information public. Why? What would happen if I released this footage? Would people believe it? Or would they call it fake, edited, CGI? I needed more context, more information. I needed to know if this had happened before, if others had documented similar events. I opened my laptop, started searching. Cape Kiwanda. Strange lights. Cape Kiwanda UFO. Oregon coast anomalies. I found more than I expected. Reports going back years, decades. Lights on the beach, objects in the sky, figures on the shore. Most dismissed as hoaxes. Misidentifications, explainable phenomena, but some weren't. Some were detailed, consistent. Multiple witnesses. Similar descriptions to what Tessa and I had experienced. One report caught my attention. From 1997, a couple camping at Cape Kiwanda. They saw lights on the beach, took photos. When they developed the film, this was before digital, the photos showed more lights than they'd seen with their eyes. 3 lights in the images. Only one visible when they took the pictures. The reflection problem, 27 years ago. Same beach, same phenomenon. I kept digging. Found more reports. 2003, 2011, 2019. All from Cape Kiwanda. All describing lights that appeared different through cameras than to the naked eye. This wasn't new. This had been happening for decades, maybe longer. But nobody had conclusive documentation. No high-quality footage, no close encounters with the figures. Until now, until last night. I was still researching when my phone rang. Tessa. "Hey," I answered. "You okay?" "Yeah. You?" "Yeah." "I've been reviewing the footage. It's all there, everything we saw." "I know. I've been watching my phone recording." Logan, I found something. In my old patrol logs. There's been an increase in sightings. The lights have appeared more frequently in the past 6 months than they did the entire previous 5 years combined. Like they're escalating. Yes, like they're building towards something. Do you have any idea what? No, but I think we need to go back. Tonight. See if they appear again. See if we can learn more. I thought about that. Going back, after what we'd seen. The smart thing would be to stay away. Analyze what we had. Keep safe distance. But the figures had said to document. To share. And I couldn't share incomplete information. I needed more footage, more data, more understanding. Okay, I said, tonight, same time, same place. I'll meet you there at 8. Come prepared. I don't know what's going to happen. Neither do I. She hung up. I sat there. Coffee going cold in my hands, staring at my laptop screen. At the reports of lights and objects and figures. Everything I'd built my career on was factual reporting. Verifiable sources, evidence-based journalism. And now I was sitting on evidence of something that shouldn't exist. Something that challenged fundamental assumptions about reality. What would I do with this? What should I do? Record, document, share. That's what they'd said. So that's what I'd do. I'd go back tonight, document more, get more footage, more data, build an irrefutable case, and then I'd share it, release it, let the world decide what it meant. That was the plan. Simple, straightforward. But as the day wore on, as I prepared my equipment, as I got ready to return to Cape Kawanda, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something, that there was a larger pattern. A bigger picture I wasn't seeing yet. The figures called themselves observers, archivists, witnesses. Witnesses to what? What were they documenting? What change were they talking about? And why did they need us to record it too? Why was human documentation important? I didn't have answers. Not yet, but I would. Tonight. When I went back to the beach, back to the lights. Back to whatever was happening at Cape Kawanda, because something was happening, something significant, something that these beings, whatever they were, deemed important enough to reveal themselves, and I was going to document all of it. I left Portland at 6 p.m. earlier than necessary, but I wanted time to set up properly. Multiple cameras, different angles, audio equipment. I'd brought everything I owned that could record. This time, I'd capture every possible detail. The drive was longer than yesterday. Traffic on Highway 26. Accident near the tunnel. Didn't reach Tillamook until almost 8. The sun was setting as I turned south on 101. Tessa was already in the parking area when I arrived. So was someone else. Another vehicle, a silver Honda Civic. Someone sitting inside. I parked. Tessa walked over to my car. "Who's that?" I asked, gesturing to the Civic. "Marcus Reeves. He saw the lights 3 nights ago. I contacted him this afternoon. Asked if he wanted to be here tonight. Documented himself. He said yes. You trust him?" "He's documented. Filed a report with me. Has photos on his phone. I think the more witnesses we have, the better." I didn't love the idea of a third person. More variables. More things that could go wrong. But she had a point. Multiple independent witnesses made the documentation more credible. Marcus got out of his car. Young guy, maybe 25, wearing a waterproof jacket and hiking boots. He had a backpack. Camera equipment visible through the open top. "Marcus Reeves," he said, extending his hand. "Thanks for letting me join. Logan Holt, you saw the lights on Friday?" "Yeah, I was camping down on the beach. Around 10:30 p.m., saw a white light moving along the tide pools. Took photos. When I looked at them later, there were 3 lights in the images. but I only saw one when I was there. Freaked me out. I reported it to Tessa the next morning. Show me the photos. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through his gallery. The images were similar to what Tessa and I had captured. One primary light, two fainter lights visible only through the camera. Same offset pattern, same spacing. These are consistent with what we saw, I said. Same phenomenon. Tessa said you saw more than just the lights. Said you saw figures and an object. Yes, all documented. I'll show you the footage later. Right now, we need to set up. If they appeared tonight, I want to capture everything. We walked down to the beach. The tide was lower than last night. More exposed rocks. The tide pools were larger, deeper, full of trapped water reflecting the darkening sky. I set up 3 cameras, one on a tripod aimed north, one aimed south, one aimed straight up at the sky, each one recording continuously. I also set up 2 audio recorders, one near the cameras, one about 20 yards away. Capture any sounds from different positions. Tessa set up her equipment. 2 phones, one on a small tripod, one handheld. Marcus had a single DSLR. Decent camera, not professional grade, but good enough. We spread out, covering more area, each of us monitoring different sections of the beach. Communication by text. If anyone saw anything, they'd alert the others immediately. 9 p.m. came. Nothing. 10 p.m., still nothing. I started to wonder if they'd appear at all. Maybe last night was unique, a one-time event. Maybe they wouldn't come back. Then my phone buzzed. Text from Tessa. Light, north end, near the big rock formation. I looked north, saw it. A pale glow, hovering above the sand, same as before. I checked my viewfinder. 3 lights. 1 visible to naked eye, 3 through the camera. Confirmed, I texted back. I see 3 in camera. Same here, Marcus replied. The lights began to move, drifting south, toward us, slow, deliberate. Same pattern as last night. I zoomed in, the lights were clearer tonight. More defined. I could see internal structure, like looking into a glass sphere filled with illuminated gas. Swirling patterns inside, movement within the light itself. The wind shifted. That metallic smell. Copper and iron. Strong, immediate. My nose tingled. I touched my nostril. No blood yet, but I could feel the pressure starting. Behind my eyes, at the base of my skull. Anyone else smell metal? I texted. Yes, Tessa replied. Me too, Marcus wrote. What causes that? Don't know. Happened last night too. The lights stopped. Formed a line, evenly spaced. About 10 feet between each one. They hovered there, motionless. The center light, the one visible to the naked eye, began to pulse. Slow rhythm. Once every 2 seconds. Through my camera, all 3 lights were pulsing, but not in sync. The primary light pulsed first, then the left light, then the right. A sequence, a pattern, like they were communicating. Are you seeing a pulse pattern? I texted. Yes, sequential pulsing, left to right, Tessa confirmed. Same, Marcus wrote. The pattern repeated over and over, always the same sequence. Center, left, right. Center, left, right. 15 cycles, then it stopped. The lights began to rise, all 3 together, ascending vertically. When they reached about 50 feet, they stopped, hung in the air. Then they started to spread apart, moving away from each other, forming a wider line. 100 feet between them now. And then more lights appeared, between the original 3. Suddenly, no fade in, just there. 6 lights now, then 9, then 12, filling the space between the originals, a line of 12 lights stretching across the sky above the beach. "How many lights do you see?" I texted. 12, Tessa replied. 12, Marcus confirmed. All 12 were visible to the naked eye now, not just through cameras. Everyone could see them. They hung there. Perfect line, equal spacing, all pulsing in sequence from left to right, like a wave of light rolling across the sky. The metallic smell intensified. My nose started bleeding. I wiped it, kept recording. "Everyone okay?" I texted. "Nosebleed," Tessa wrote. "But I'm fine. Keep recording." "Same here," Marcus added. "Not stopping now." The lights began to rotate. All 12 of them, turning in place, like they were on an invisible axis. As they rotated, they changed color. White to blue, blue to green, green to yellow, yellow to red, red back to white. Full spectrum cycle, and with each color change, a sound. Low frequency. That bass note from last night, but louder now, strong enough to feel in your chest. Each pulse synchronized with the color changes, then the center of the line began to drop. 6 lights in the middle descended, while the 6 outer lights stayed in place. The descending lights moved down to about 20 feet, formed a lower line. Now we had 2 lines of 6 lights each, upper and lower, creating a rectangle of light in the sky. "Formation change," I texted. 2 rows now. "Confirmed," Tessa replied. The rectangle began to fill in, light appearing between the points, not individual lights. A surface, solid, glowing, like a screen, pale white, rectangular, 50 feet wide, 20 feet tall, floating above the beach. On the surface, images began to appear, not projected, forming from within. The first image was the beach, Cape Kiwanda, but different, younger, less erosion on the rocks, different vegetation. The image cycled, showed the beach changing over time, rocks wearing down, sand shifting, vegetation spreading, time lapse spanning years, decades, centuries maybe. "Are you seeing this?" Marcus texted. "The images?" "Yes, time lapse of the beach," I confirmed. "Why are they showing us this?" Tessa asked. I didn't know, but I kept recording. The time lapse continued. The beach kept changing, the formations kept evolving, and then the images shifted. Showed people, native tribes, living on the coast, fishing, building, living. The images showed their lives, their communities, then settlers arriving, towns forming, roads being built, modern development. The time lapse accelerated, years passing in seconds, the beach transforming, more buildings, more people, more change. Then future, images that hadn't happened yet. The beach with different structures, different geography, the ocean higher, the land different. "They're showing us the future," I texted. "How do we know it's the future?" Marcus asked. "Because those buildings don't exist. That geography isn't current." The images shifted again, showed something else. Objects in the sky, not planes, not helicopters. The same angular shapes we'd seen last night. Multiple objects, hundreds of them, flying in formation above the coast, and people watching, looking up, not running, not afraid, just watching. "Is this a prediction?" Tessa texted. "Is this what's coming?" Before I could respond, the surface flickered. The images disappeared. The lights that formed the rectangle separated, returned to individual points. all 12 lights rising higher, 100 feet, 200 feet. Then they began to move, not randomly, deliberately. They formed shapes, first a triangle, then a square, then a circle. Geometric patterns in the sky. Each shape held for about 10 seconds before transforming into the next. The patterns became more complex. Three-dimensional structures, cubes, pyramids, spheres, all formed from light, all rotating, all changing, and then they came together, all 12 lights converging on a single point, merging, becoming one massive sphere of brilliant white light. So bright I had to look away, so bright my camera compensated automatically, darkening the exposure. The sphere hung there, pulsing, growing, expanding, 50 feet wide, 75 feet, 100 feet, a massive ball of light hovering over the beach. "Get back!" Tessa shouted. "Everyone move back!" We retreated, up the beach, away from the sphere. It was descending, coming down toward the sand. Slowly but steadily, when it was about 10 feet above the beach, it stopped. The light diminished, no longer blinding, just bright. And we could see through it, see inside. There was something within the sphere, solid, dark, the angular object from last night, but larger, much larger, maybe 60 feet across, faceted surfaces, geometric precision, and those symbols, covering every surface, glowing faintly. The object was rotating inside the sphere, showing all sides. And as it turned, one of the facets faced us directly. The reflective panel, the mirror surface. I looked at it, saw our reflection. 3 people standing on a beach. Behind us, the parking area, the trucks, the road. But the reflection was wrong again. In the mirror, there were more people, dozens of them, standing on the beach, watching the object. People who weren't actually there. "Do you see the extra people in the reflection?" I texted. "Yes. Who are they?" Marcus replied. "I don't know." The sphere began to descend again. The object inside lowered with it. When they were about 5 feet above the sand, figures appeared. The same tall figures from last night. 3 of them, standing beneath the sphere, looking up at it. Then they turned, faced us, and one of them raised an arm, gestured for us to approach. Are they inviting us closer?" Marcus asked aloud. "I think so," I said. "Should we go?" Tessa asked. Every instinct said no. Stay back, keep distance, don't approach unknown entities. But the journalist in me, the part that needed to document, that needed to understand, that part said yes. Go, see, record. "I'm going," I said. "You two can stay here." "No way," Tessa said. "We're in this together." "I'm coming too," Marcus added. We walked forward, slowly, cautiously, toward the figures, toward the sphere, toward the massive object floating inside it. The figures didn't move, just watched us approach. When we were about 10 feet away, they raised their hands, palms out. A gesture that clearly meant stop. We stopped, the closest I'd been to them. I could see details now, their skin, if it was skin. Smooth, textured, with fine patterns, like circuitry or writing, covering their bodies, their faces. Large eyes, reflective. I could see myself in those eyes, distorted, changed. One of them moved forward, glided, no footsteps, no sound. They came within arm's reach, and they spoke, not out loud. In my head, same as before, you came back. Good. Important to witness. Witness what? I asked aloud. Transition, change, beginning. Beginning of what? New phase, preparation. Humanity ready. Almost. Ready for what? Contact. full disclosure, integration. I don't understand. You will. You document. You share. Others see. Others understand. Process begins. What process? Awakening, recognition, acceptance. The figure reached out, touched my forehead. Same as last night. Not physical contact, energy, warmth, and information flooded into my mind. Images, concepts, understanding. I saw Earth not as it is, as it was, millions of years ago. And I saw them, these beings arriving, observing, recording, documenting evolution, life forming, changing, growing, all of it archived, preserved. They'd been here the entire time, since the beginning, watching, waiting, for humanity to reach a certain point, a certain level of development, and now we were close. Close enough for contact, close enough for disclosure. But it had to be gradual, slow, documented by humans, shared by humans, not imposed from outside. It had to come from within, from us, from witnesses like me, like Tessa, like Marcus, people who would document, who would share, who would help others accept. The figure removed their hand. The flood of information stopped, but the understanding remained clear, undeniable. You want us to prepare people, I said. You want our documentation to help humanity accept your existence. Yes. Soft disclosure, not shock, not fear, understanding. Gradual, safe. How many of you are there? Many, thousands, watching, recording, across your world. Many locations, many witnesses. For how long? Always, since beginning. Will continue until end. End of what? This phase, your isolation, your belief you are alone. That ends soon. The figure stepped back, joined the other two, and they all raised their arms, pointed up at the sphere, at the object inside. Watch, remember, document. The sphere began to rise. Slowly at first, then faster. The object inside rotated one more time. The reflective panel faced us, and in the reflection, I saw us, but older, years older, standing in the same spot, with others. Many others, all watching the sky. Then the sphere accelerated, shot upward, incredible speed, gone in a blink. The 12 lights reappeared, spread across the sky. They held formation for a moment, then scattered, each light flying in a different direction, all disappearing within seconds. The wind returned. The metallic smell faded. The pressure in my head released. We were alone on the beach, just 3 people, 3 cameras, and the memory of what we'd just witnessed. None of us spoke. We just stood there, breathing, processing. Finally, Marcus broke the silence. Did that really just happen? Yes, I said. We all saw it. We all recorded it. What do we do now? Tessa asked. I looked at my camera, still recording. Hours of footage. Clear documentation. Multiple angles. Multiple witnesses. Now we do what they asked. We document it properly. We analyze it. We verify it. And then we share it. Share it how? Marcus asked. Carefully, strategically, build the case, make it undeniable, then release it, all of it, let the world see. We walked back to the parking area, downloaded footage to back up drives, compared recordings. Everything matched. All 3 cameras captured the same events, same images, same formations, same encounter. I need to process this, Marcus said. Figure out what it means, what I just saw. We all do, Tessa said. This changes everything. Yeah, I agreed. Everything changes. Marcus left first, said he'd contact me tomorrow, compare notes, figure out next steps. Tessa and I stayed longer, sat in her truck, talked. They've been here forever, she said. Since the beginning. Just watching. Yes, documenting, archiving, like us. Like what we do as journalists and researchers. They're recording. Preserving. But why show themselves now? Why contact us? Because we're ready. Almost ready. They said humanity is approaching a threshold, a point where we can handle the truth, where we can accept that we're not alone. And they want us to help prepare people through documentation, through sharing. Yes, soft disclosure, not government announcements, not shocking revelation, just evidence, slowly released, building over time, until acceptance becomes inevitable. Do you think it'll work? I don't know. But I think we have to try. They chose us. For whatever reason. They gave us this experience, this evidence. We have a responsibility to share it. When? Soon. But not yet. We need more. More witnesses. More footage. More events. Build an overwhelming case, then release everything at once. Make it impossible to ignore. Tessa nodded. Okay, I'm in. Whatever you need. However I can help. Thank you. She started her truck. Be safe, Logan. Something tells me this is just the beginning. Yeah, I think you're right. I drove back to Portland. The roads were empty again. Just me and my thoughts, and the weight of what I knew. They'd been here forever. Watching, recording, waiting for us to reach a point where contact was possible. And now we were close. So close. And they were revealing themselves. Slowly. Carefully. Through witnesses. Through documentation. Through people like me. Soft disclosure. Preparing humanity for full contact. For integration. For a new phase of existence. I got home around 3 a.m. Didn't sleep. Uploaded all the footage. Backed it up to multiple drives. Cloud storage. Secure servers. Made sure it couldn't be lost. Couldn't be erased. Then I started writing. Everything I'd experienced. Everything I'd learned. Every detail. While it was fresh. While I still had clarity. The Cape Kiwanda Report. That's what I'd call it. A comprehensive documentation of contact, of disclosure, of the beginning of a new era. This was the story of my life. The story of our time. The story of humanity discovering we're not alone. And I was going to tell it right. Tell it completely. Tell it in a way that people couldn't dismiss. Couldn't ignore. Because they asked me to. The observers, the archivists, the witnesses. They asked for documentation, for sharing, for help preparing humanity. And that's exactly what I was going to give them. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Days spent analyzing footage. Nights spent researching. Comparing our documentation to other reports. Finding patterns. Building connections. Marcus proved valuable. He had contacts. Other witnesses. People who'd seen similar things but never reported them publicly. He brought them to me, one by one. I interviewed them. Documented their accounts. Added them to the growing database. Tessa kept monitoring Cape Kiwanda. The lights appeared 6 more times. Each time, she recorded them. Each time, she documented the reflection problem. The discrepancy between what eyes saw and what cameras captured. The evidence mounted. But I knew this wasn't enough. Not yet. I needed something more, something undeniable, something that would force even the most skeptical person to acknowledge the truth. That's when Elena Torres contacted me. March 22nd. A Wednesday. She called my phone, direct, no email introduction, no preliminary contact. Logan Holt? A woman's voice, confident, clear. Yes. Who's this? My name is Elena Torres. I'm a physicist. I specialize in electromagnetic phenomena. I've been tracking anomalous readings along the Oregon coast for 3 years. I understand you've had encounters at Cape Kiwanda. How did you know that? Marcus Reeves. He contacted me 2 days ago. Showed me some of your footage. I'd like to meet. Discuss what you've documented. I think I can help. Help how? I have equipment. Sensors that can measure things beyond visible spectrum. If these entities appear again, I can capture data that goes beyond video and photography. Hard scientific measurements. The kind that can't be dismissed as camera artifacts or optical illusions. That's exactly what I needed. Scientific validation, hard data. When can you meet? I asked. Today, I'm in Portland. Can be at your place in an hour. I gave her my address. She arrived exactly 60 minutes later. Mid-30s. Dark hair pulled back, wearing practical clothes, carrying cases of equipment. I showed her everything. All the footage, all the photos, all the witness statements. She watched silently, took notes, asked specific questions about timing, location, weather conditions, electromagnetic readings, if we'd taken any. This is remarkable, she said when I'd finished. I've been tracking unusual readings at multiple sites along the coast. Cape Kiwanda is one of them, but I've never had visual confirmation like this. Never had clear documentation of the entities themselves. What kind of readings have you been tracking? She opened one of her cases, pulled out a tablet, showed me data, graphs, spikes in electromagnetic fields, fluctuations in local gravitational measurements, anomalies in background radiation. These readings occur in patterns, she explained. They appear at specific locations, at specific times, and they're increasing in frequency and intensity. Whatever is causing them is becoming more active. Do you have a theory about what they are? Several theories, but they all lead to the same conclusion. We're dealing with technology that's far beyond anything human-made. The energy signatures, the electromagnetic properties, the gravitational effects. None of it matches known physics, or rather, it matches theoretical physics. Things we've calculated but never observed. Things that shouldn't be possible with current technology. So you believe these entities are extraterrestrial? I believe they're using technology that suggests origins outside our current understanding. Whether that means extraterrestrial or something else, time travelers, interdimensional, something we don't have concepts for yet, I can't say definitively. But they're not human, and they're not natural phenomena. Can you detect when they're going to appear? Possibly. The electromagnetic spikes precede visual sightings by approximately 30 to 45 minutes. If I set up monitoring equipment at Cape Kiwanda, I can give you advance warning. You can be ready, cameras running, everything documented from start to finish. How soon can you set that up? 2 days. I need to transport the equipment, install sensors, calibrate everything. But once it's running, I'll have 24-hour monitoring. The moment readings start spiking, you'll know. Do it. Whatever you need, I'll help. She smiled. Good, because I'm going to need access to the beach. Permission to install equipment. Can Tessa help with that? Yes, she's a ranger. She can authorize it. Perfect. I'll contact her tonight. We'll set up tomorrow. Elena left with a promise to keep me updated. I felt something shift. This was moving forward, building momentum. The documentation was expanding beyond just visual evidence. Now we'd have scientific data, hard measurements, the kind of proof that scientists couldn't dismiss. I called Tessa, explained about Elena, her equipment, her request for access. "I'll approve it," Tessa said. "We need this. We need every angle documented." She thinks the electromagnetic spikes can predict appearances. 30 to 45 minutes advance warning. That's huge. That means we can be ready, set up properly, capture everything. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Logan, I've been thinking about the message, about what they told us. Soft disclosure, preparing humanity. Do you really think this is the right approach? What do you mean? I mean, maybe we should just release everything now, all at once. Force the issue. Get it out there before someone can suppress it. I've thought about that. But I think they're right. Shock causes panic, causes rejection. But gradual exposure, building evidence, that creates acceptance. People adapt, they adjust. By the time full disclosure happens, it's not a shock. It's just confirmation of what they already suspected. You really think people will believe us? Some will, some won't. But with enough evidence. With multiple witnesses. With scientific data backing it up. The consensus will shift. People will start accepting it as real. That's how paradigm shifts happen. Not overnight. Gradually. With mounting evidence. Okay, I trust you. Let's do this right. Elena set up her equipment over the next 2 days. Sensors along the beach. Electromagnetic field detectors. Gravitational anomaly monitors. Radiation sensors. All linked to a central computer. All recording continuously. All waiting for the next spike. It came on March 25th, a Monday. 9:30 p.m. Elena's monitoring system detected the spike. She called me immediately. "It's happening. Electromagnetic readings jumping. Same pattern as before. You have 40 minutes. Get to Cape Kawanda." I was already packed, gear ready. I'd been waiting for this call. "I'm on my way. Call Tessa, call Marcus, get everyone there." I drove fast, pushed speed limits, made it to Cape Kawanda in 90 minutes, parked in the usual spot. Tessa was already there, so was Marcus, so was Elena, everyone ready. "Readings are still climbing," Elena said. "Whatever's coming, it's big, bigger than previous events." We set up quickly, multiple cameras, audio recorders, Elena's scientific instruments. Everything positioned, everything recording, all waiting. The lights appeared at 10:45 p.m., but not like before. Not slow emergence, not gradual appearance. They just manifested. Suddenly, dozens of them, 50, 100, more, filling the sky above Cape Kawanda. A constellation of lights, white, blue, red, all colors, all sizes, all hovering. "Oh my God," Marcus whispered. "There's so many." The lights began to organize, forming patterns, geometric shapes. First a grid, orderly rows and columns. Then the grid began to transform, becoming three-dimensional, a cube. Then the cube rotated, shifted, became a sphere, then a pyramid, then shapes I didn't have names for, four-dimensional structures that hurt to look at, that didn't make visual sense. "My instruments are going crazy," Elena said. "Electromagnetic fields off the scale, gravitational fluctuations, radiation spikes, everything's peaked." The lights descended, all of them, together, coming down toward the beach. Slowly, maintaining formation. The complex geometric structure they'd formed staying intact as it lowered. When they were about 100 feet up, the structure opened. The lights spread apart, created a space in the center, and through that space something emerged. An object, not the angular craft from before. Something different, larger, maybe 200 feet across, smooth, curved, organic looking, like a living thing, but clearly technological, glowing from within, pulsing, the surface covered in patterns, moving patterns, like liquid, like energy flowing across the surface. "What is that?" Tessa asked. "I don't know," I said. "But document everything, every angle, every detail." The object descended further, 50 feet, 25 feet, stopped about 15 feet above the sand. The lights that had formed the structure repositioned, surrounded the object, created a ring, and within that ring they began to pulse, synchronized, all together, creating waves of light rolling around the circle, faster and faster. The metallic smell returned, strong, overwhelming. We all started bleeding, noses, ears. Marcus dropped to his knees. "I can't," he started. "Stay recording," I said. "Whatever happens, keep recording." The pulsing lights reached maximum speed. So fast they blurred, became a solid ring of white light, and the object in the center began to change. The surface rippled, shifted. Parts of it became transparent. I could see inside, see structure, see machinery, see things I didn't understand, components that didn't look manufactured, that looked grown, biological technology, living machines. And then I saw them, the figures, but not 3, dozens of them, inside the object, moving, working, operating systems. They moved with purpose, with coordination, like parts of a single organism. One section of the object became fully transparent, a window or a screen, and through it we could see more clearly. The figures weren't just tall and slender. They were diverse, different types, different sizes, some tall, some shorter, some that looked almost human, some that looked nothing like us. They were showing us, deliberately, revealing themselves, all of them. The full variety, the complete picture. "They're not one species," Elena said. "They're multiple species working together. A coalition," I said, "or an alliance." The transparent section shifted, showed something else, a chamber, large, with more figures, and in the center of the chamber a display, holographic, 3-dimensional, showing Earth, our planet. Rotating, but not current Earth, future Earth, years ahead, decades, and orbiting it, structures, stations, ships, dozens of them all around our world. "They're showing us the future," Tessa said. "After disclosure, after contact. This is what it looks like." The image shifted again, showed people, humans, living alongside the figures, working together. No conflict, no war, just coexistence, integration, exactly what they'd told us. The new phase, the next stage of human development. The display changed one more time, showed us, the 4 of us, standing on the beach, cameras recording, and then it showed more, other people in other locations, also recording, also witnessing, hundreds of them, all around the world, all receiving the same message, all being prepared, all part of the same process. Soft disclosure, global, coordinated, multiple witnesses, multiple locations, all building to the same conclusion. We're not alone. We've never been alone, and soon everyone will know. The transparent section solidified, became opaque again. The object began to rise. The ring of lights moved with it, maintaining position, surrounding it, protecting it, or showcasing it. Hard to tell. They ascended slowly at first, giving us time to record, to document, to capture every detail. Then they accelerated, shot upward, the light scattering, the object disappearing into the night sky. Gone in seconds. The electromagnetic readings dropped. Elena's instruments returned to normal. The metallic smell faded. The pressure released. We were back to baseline, just 4 people on a beach, with cameras, and the most incredible documentation ever recorded. Did we just... Marcus couldn't finish. Yes, I said, we just witnessed first contact, mass contact, coordinated disclosure. Elena was checking her data. I have measurements, solid scientific data, electromagnetic signatures, gravitational effects, radiation patterns, all recorded, all documented. This is proof, real, undeniable, scientific proof. We have video from 4 angles, I added. Multiple witnesses, scientific measurements, consistent documentation. This is what we needed. This is the case. So, what now? Tessa asked. Do we release it? I thought about that. About timing, about impact, about how to do this right. We prepare it, I said. We compile everything, all footage, all data, all witness statements. We create a comprehensive report, the Cape Kiwanda Report. Complete documentation of contact, and then we release it, everywhere. Simultaneously. News outlets, social media, scientific journals, academic institutions. We flood the world with evidence, make it impossible to suppress, impossible to ignore. When? Marcus asked. 1 week, 7 days to prepare, to compile, to verify everything. Then we release it, all at once. We spent the next 7 days working, barely sleeping. Elena analyzed the scientific data, created papers, documented methodologies, made it bulletproof. Marcus compiled witness statements, found more people, added their accounts, built a database of dozens of encounters. Tessa wrote the historical context, documented the pattern, showed the progression, proved this wasn't new, had been building for years. And I wrote the narrative, the story, the Cape Kiwanda Report. Everything that happened, every detail, every encounter, told as factual reporting. No speculation, no theory, just documentation, just truth. April 1st, we finalized everything, created packages, video files, data files, documents, witness statements, scientific analysis, complete comprehensive documentation, ready for release. We uploaded it everywhere, sent it to news organizations, posted it on social media, submitted it to scientific journals, distributed it through multiple channels, all at once. April 2nd, 3 a.m. The Cape Kiwanda Report went public. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, millions of views, thousands of comments, news organizations picking it up, scientists requesting data, skeptics demanding verification, believers celebrating validation. The debate was fierce. Some called it fake, CGI, elaborate hoax. Others called it proof, evidence, truth. The scientific community was divided. Some demanded peer review. Others said the data was sound, the measurements valid, the documentation legitimate. But we'd done what they asked. We'd documented. We'd shared. We'd begun the process of disclosure, and the conversation had started. People were talking, discussing, considering the possibility that we're not alone, that we've been visited, that contact is real. 3 days after release, mainstream media was covering it. Major networks, international news. The Cape Kiwanda Report was global. Everyone was seeing it. Everyone was discussing it. A week after release, government officials started commenting. Some dismissive, some evasive, some surprisingly open. The Pentagon released a statement, acknowledged anomalous phenomena, said they were investigating, didn't confirm or deny extraterrestrial involvement, but didn't dismiss it either. That was progress. That was change. That was exactly what they'd wanted. Soft disclosure, gradual acceptance, building consensus. 2 weeks after release, other witnesses started coming forward. People from around the world, reporting similar encounters, similar beings, similar messages, all part of the same coordinated process, all receiving the same information. Prepare humanity. Share what you've seen. Help others accept. The pattern was undeniable. This wasn't isolated. This was global. This was organized. This was real. A month after release, the scientific consensus began to shift. Papers were published. Data was verified. The Cape Kiwanda recordings were analyzed by multiple independent labs. All concluded the same thing. The measurements were real. The electromagnetic signatures were genuine. The gravitational effects were documented. Whatever created these phenomena was using technology beyond current human capability. That was as close to confirmation as science could give. Not definitive proof of extraterrestrial origin, but proof that something real, something technological, something advanced, had been documented. It was enough. It was enough to change the conversation, to shift the paradigm, to make people accept the possibility. And once possibility was accepted, truth would follow. I received an email 2 months after release, anonymous sender, encrypted, short message. Thank you. Documentation received, process proceeding, humanity adapting. Continue. More to come. You will witness. You will document. You will share. No signature, no identification. But I knew who it was from. Them. The observers, the archivists, the witnesses. They were confirming, acknowledging, encouraging. And they were promising. More to come. More events. More documentation. More disclosure. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. The beginning of a process that would unfold over years, over decades maybe. But it had started, and I'd been part of it. We'd all been part of it. The Cape Kiwanda report, our documentation, our evidence, our contribution to humanity's awakening, to the recognition that we're not alone, that we've never been alone, that we're part of something larger, something cosmic, something that's been watching us, guiding us, preparing us. And now we know. Now we're ready, or ready enough to begin, ready enough to accept, ready enough to step into the next phase, the next era, the time of open contact, of integration, of joining the larger community. It's happening. It's real. And it's documented. All of it in the Cape Kiwanda report. For anyone to see. For anyone to verify. For anyone to accept. We're not alone. We've never been alone. And soon, everyone will know. Because we documented it. Because we shared it. Because we did what they asked. And because of that, everything changes. Everything has changed. Everything will continue to change. Welcome to the new reality. Welcome to the next phase. Welcome to the truth. We're not alone. And that changes everything. You need to understand something about Depot Bay before I tell you what happened that November night. It's the smallest harbor in the world. That's what the sign says. That's what everyone knows. The boats squeeze through a narrow channel in the rocks. The ocean crashes against the seawall. The fog rolls in thick and stays for days. And it's quiet. Quieter than you'd think for a coastal town. The kind of quiet that makes sounds stand out. Makes you notice when something's wrong, when something doesn't belong. My name is Ethan Rowe. I work at the Channel House. It's a small hotel right on the cliff edge. Been working there 3 years. Maintenance mostly, fixing things, keeping the generator running, making sure guests are comfortable. It's good work, quiet work. Or it was. Until that night. Until Maya Douglas checked in. Until everything went silent in the wrong way. November 12th, a Thursday. The weather was typical, gray, misty, temperature in the low 40s. The ocean was rough, whitecaps everywhere. You could hear the waves from inside the building, constant, rhythmic, like breathing. Maya checked in around 3 p.m. I was in the office doing paperwork when she arrived, mid-30s, wearing a heavy jacket, carrying a camera bag and a laptop case. She had the look of someone who'd driven a long way, tired eyes, but alert, focused. "Maya Douglas," she said to Carol at the front desk. "I have a reservation, room 12. Carol checked her in, handed over the key. Room 12, ocean view, top floor. Best room in the house. Maya had specifically requested it, wanted the highest view of the water, said she was doing photography, coastal landscapes, storm documentation. Generator's been acting up, Carol warned her. Might hear some noise tonight. Ethan's working on it. Maya nodded. That's fine, I'm a light sleeper anyway. She took her bags and went upstairs. I watched her go. Something about her seemed different. Not wrong exactly, just purposeful. Like she was here for a reason beyond photography. I went back to work. The generator was in the shed behind the main building. Old diesel unit, temperamental. Been having issues all week. Starting and stopping, making weird noises. I'd replaced the fuel filter, checked the oil. Everything seemed fine mechanically, but it kept acting strange. Around 6 p.m., I was in the shed when I heard footsteps. Maya was standing in the doorway. She had her camera, big professional DSLR with a long lens. "Sorry to bother you," she said. "I wanted to ask about the lights." "What lights?" "On the water, at night. I've heard reports of unusual lights appearing off the coast here. Orange, sometimes white. Have you seen them?" I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. "Why are you asking about lights?" "I'm documenting them. That's why I'm here. I've been tracking reports along the Oregon coast for 6 months. Depot Bay has the highest concentration of sightings, lights appearing on the horizon, objects moving in unusual patterns, witnesses reporting time distortions. Time distortions. Missing time, or clocks running wrong. It's a common feature in these reports. People will see the lights, then realize they've lost minutes, sometimes hours. I put down my wrench. "You're not here for photography, you're here for UFOs." She didn't flinch. "I'm here to document anomalous phenomena, whatever that might be. Have you seen anything unusual?" I thought about lying, about saying no, about sending her away. But something in her expression, the way she asked, like she'd been told no 100 times and kept asking anyway, that made me honest. 2 weeks ago, I said. Around 9 p.m. I was closing up. Saw an orange light on the horizon. Thought it was a boat. But it was too bright, too steady. Watched it for maybe 5 minutes, then it just vanished. Didn't move away, didn't dim, just gone. Did you check your watch? Notice any time discrepancies? Actually, yeah, I did. My phone said 9:15, but the clock in the office said 8:55, 20-minute difference. I thought the office clock had stopped, but it was still ticking, running fine, just wrong. Maya pulled out a notebook, started writing. Have there been other incidents? A few. Other staff members have mentioned seeing lights, guests too, but nobody talks about it much. People think you're crazy if you mention UFOs. I know. That's why I document. Evidence, video, photos, make it harder to dismiss. She looked out at the ocean. The fog was rolling in, thick. You could barely see past the seawall. I'm going to be watching tonight, from my room. If you see anything unusual, any lights, any strange sounds, come get me. I want to document everything. Okay, but I'm shutting down the generator around 11. Maintenance check. It'll be loud when I restart it. Don't be alarmed. I won't be. She went back inside. I finished working on the generator. Got it running smooth. As smooth as it was going to get anyway. Went back to the office around 7. Carol was leaving. Night shift covered by automated system. Just me and the guests. 3 rooms occupied. Maya in 12. An elderly couple in 7. A businessman in 4. Quiet night, normal. I made my rounds, checked doors, made sure everything was secure. The fog had gotten thicker. Couldn't see the ocean anymore, just gray, dense, muffling sound. Even the waves sounded distant. Muted. Around 8:30 I was in the office when the lights flickered. Not a power surge, just a momentary dim, like someone had turned down a dimmer switch. Then they came back to normal. I checked the generator, running fine, no issues. I went outside, walked to the seawall. The fog was so thick I couldn't see more than 20 feet, but I could hear something. A sound, low frequency, like a motor. But not our generator, something else, something out on the water maybe. I listened for a few minutes. The sound was constant, steady, coming from somewhere in the fog, but I couldn't pinpoint the direction. Sound does weird things in fog. Bounces, distorts. Could have been a boat, could have been something else. I went back inside. Checked the time. 8:45, made a note. Decided to monitor it. See if the sound continued. At 9 p.m., Maya came downstairs. She had her camera, a tripod, a flashlight. I'm setting up on the observation deck, she said. The one facing the ocean, is that okay? Sure. Just be careful. Railings are slippery when it's foggy. I will be. She went outside. I watched through the window. Saw her set up her camera, point it toward the ocean. Even though there was nothing to see, just fog, just gray. I made coffee, sat in the office, listened to that motor sound. It was still there, constant, unchanging. I checked our generator again. Still running, still fine, but the sound was definitely coming from somewhere else. At 9:30, the lights flickered again. Longer this time, maybe 3 seconds of dimness. Then back to normal. I noted the time. Went to check the circuit breakers. Everything looked fine. No trips, no issues. When I got back to the office, Maya was standing there. Her face was pale, excited. There's something out there, she said. In the fog. A light. Orange. Just like the reports. I grabbed my jacket, followed her outside. We went to the observation deck. She pointed toward the ocean. Through the fog, faint, barely visible. An orange glow, diffuse, like looking at a streetlight through heavy mist. How long has it been there? I asked. Just appeared, maybe 2 minutes ago. It's not moving, just hovering. We watched. The orange light stayed in place, pulsing slightly, getting brighter, then dimmer, then brighter again. Regular rhythm, like breathing. Are you recording this? I asked. Yes. Started as soon as I saw it. The light intensified, became more defined. I could see it was circular, a sphere, about the size of a beach ball if you held it at arm's length. But distance was hard to judge in the fog. Could have been close, could have been far. No reference points. Then the motor sound changed, got louder, more distinct. And I realized something wrong. Our generator. I couldn't hear it anymore, just this other sound, this motor from somewhere else. "Maya," I said. "Stay here, keep recording. I need to check something." I ran to the generator shed, opened the door. The generator was off, completely off. Silent, but the power in the building was still on. Lights still working. Everything running normally. That's impossible. The building runs on generator power. No generator, no power. But we had power. The lights were on, the heaters were running. Everything functioned perfectly. I tried to start the generator, turned the key. Nothing. No response. Battery was good, connections were solid, but it wouldn't start. Wouldn't even attempt to turn over. I went back to Maya. She was still recording. The orange light was still there, still pulsing. But now it was joined by others. 2 more lights, one on each side. White. Smaller. Forming a triangle. "How long was I gone?" I asked. "Maybe 5 minutes. Why?" "Generator's off, but we still have power." She looked at me. "That's not possible." "I know, but look." I pointed at the building. Every window lit, every light burning. We shouldn't have power, but we do. The motor sound intensified, became almost painful. Low frequency that you felt more than heard. My chest vibrated, my teeth ached. Maya lowered her camera, put a hand to her ear. "That's too loud," she said. "What is that?" "I don't know." The 3 lights began to move. Slowly, horizontally, gliding through the fog, maintaining their triangle formation, moving south along the coast. We followed them with our eyes, watched until they reached the edge of visibility, then stopped. The motor sound cut out, instantly. Complete silence. No engine, no generator, no ocean, no wind, nothing. Absolute silence. And in that silence, every light went out. The hotel, the street lights, the houses down the road, everything. Total darkness. Complete. Like someone had thrown a master switch. Maya grabbed my arm. "What's happening?" "I don't know. Stay calm." The darkness lasted 1 second. Maybe less. Then the lights came back. All of them. Simultaneously. Like nothing had happened. But something had changed. The fog was different, thinner. The motor sound was gone. The orange lights were gone. Everything back to normal. Almost normal. Something felt wrong. "Check your watch," Maya said. Her voice was shaking. I looked at my watch, 9:45. I'd checked it before going to the generator shed. It had been 9:30. 15 minutes had passed. That was right. That made sense. "What does yours say?" I asked. She held up her phone, 9:25. Her phone said 9:25, 20 minutes earlier than my watch, 20 minutes earlier than it should be. "That's impossible," I said. "Check inside. Check the office clock." We ran inside. The clock on the office wall, 9:25, the computer, 9:25, every clock in the building, 9:25. All 20 minutes behind my watch. All synchronized. All wrong. "This can't be real," I said. "Clocks don't just go backwards." "They didn't go backwards. We jumped forward, or the clock stopped, or—" She trailed off. Looked at her camera. "We need to review the footage, see what was recorded." We went to her room. She connected her camera to her laptop, pulled up the video files, started playback. The footage showed the observation deck, the fog, then the orange light appearing, the 2 white lights joining. Everything we'd seen. Then something strange. The video showed me leaving, going to check the generator. Maya kept recording. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The lights stayed visible, pulsing, hovering. Then, at the 4-minute mark, the video distorted. Static. Digital artifacts, like electromagnetic interference. The interference lasted for exactly 20 seconds. Then the video cleared, showed the observation deck again, the fog thinner, the lights gone, and Maya still standing there. But her posture was different. Slightly turned, like she'd moved during the interference. But the timestamp on the video showed continuous recording. No gaps, no cuts. There, Maya said. That interference. That's when it happened, when time displaced. How do you know? Because, watch this. She fast-forwarded, showed the moment when all the lights went out. The total darkness. On the video, it lasted exactly 1 second. Just like we remembered. But the timestamp. Before the darkness. 9:44 and 58 seconds. After the darkness, 9:25 and 12 seconds. The timestamp had jumped backwards, but the video had played continuously. No pause, no stop. It just jumped. The camera recorded it, she said. Whatever happened, the temporal displacement, the camera captured it. That's impossible. No, it's documented, right here, video evidence. We experienced a time anomaly, 20 minutes compressed into seconds, or 20 minutes erased, or... She stopped, thought. We need to check the generator. We went outside, back to the shed. The generator was running, humming along like it had never stopped, like it had been running the whole time. But I'd seen it, off, silent, dead. Did you restart it? Maya asked. No, I tried to start it, wouldn't turn over. I left it off, came back to you. So it started itself, during the displacement. Or it never stopped, maybe we remember it wrong. Maybe the displacement affected our memories. No, I remember it clearly. You said the generator was off, you were certain. I checked the fuel gauge. Still had 3/4 tank. Oil level good, temperature normal. Everything functioning perfectly, like nothing had happened. We went back inside. I made more coffee. We sat in the office. Tried to make sense of what we'd experienced. The lights, the sound, the darkness, the time jump, none of it made sense, but it happened. Both of us witnessed it. The camera recorded it. It was real. This has happened before, Maya said. Not just here. Other locations along the coast. Witnesses report the same pattern. Lights appearing, unusual sounds, power fluctuations, then time discrepancies, minutes or hours that don't match up, clocks running wrong, watches showing different times. Why? What causes it? I don't know, but I think it's related to whatever those lights are. Whatever was out there tonight, they're not just lights. They're something that affects time, affects reality, changes how things function. UFOs. Maybe. Or something else. Something we don't have words for. But they're real, they're documented, and they're happening more frequently. I've tracked 17 incidents in the last 6 months, all along the Oregon coast, all similar to tonight. What do? We document it, we report it, we share the evidence, make people see that this is real, that something's happening here, something significant. I thought about that, about going public, about people knowing my name, knowing I'd witnessed this, the ridicule, the skepticism, the career implications, working at a hotel in a small coastal town. If people thought I was crazy, if guests thought I was unreliable, that could be the end. But I'd seen it, I'd experienced it, and if I stayed silent, if I pretended it didn't happen, that was a different kind of lie, a worse kind. Okay, I said, I'm in. Whatever you need. I'll corroborate your account. Testify to what we saw, but we need more. More documentation. More evidence. If this happens again, we need to be ready. Agreed. I'm staying for another week. Going to monitor every night. If the lights appear again, we'll capture everything. Multiple cameras, multiple angles. Build an undeniable case. We spent the next hour reviewing the footage, making notes, documenting times, observations, everything we could remember. When we finished, it was past midnight, according to the clocks, but according to my watch, it was 12:40, still 20 minutes ahead. The discrepancy remained. Maya went to bed. I stayed in the office, couldn't sleep, kept thinking about what we'd seen, what it meant, why it was happening. No answers came, just questions, endless questions. Around 2 a.m., I went outside, walked to the seawall. The fog had lifted. I could see the ocean clearly now, dark, vast, empty. No lights, no sounds except waves. Everything normal. But I knew what I'd seen, knew what had happened, and I knew it wasn't over. Whatever was out there, whatever had caused the lights and the time jump, it was still there, still present, still watching. I just didn't know when it would come back. The next 3 nights were quiet. No lights, no sounds, no anomalies. Maya set up her equipment each evening, cameras pointing at the ocean, recording continuously. But nothing appeared, just normal fog, normal darkness, normal ocean. During the days we talked, compared notes. She showed me her research, files on other incidents, other witnesses, dozens of them. Up and down the coast, all reporting similar experiences, lights, time discrepancies, electromagnetic effects. A pattern spread across years, across decades even. We weren't the first, wouldn't be the last. There's something about the coast, Maya said on Saturday afternoon. We were sitting in the office, rain hammering the windows. Something about Oregon specifically. The concentration of sightings is higher here than anywhere else in the continental U.S. except maybe the Southwest, but those are different. Desert lights. Different patterns. Different behaviors. The coast lights are unique. Water associated. Almost always appearing over the ocean. Moving along the shore, and they interact. They respond to witnesses. Like they're aware they're being watched. What do you mean, respond? Reports describe lights approaching when people watch them, or changing behavior when cameras are pointed at them, like they know, like they're intelligent, purposeful. That's disturbing, or fascinating. Depends on your perspective, but it suggests consciousness, awareness. These aren't just random phenomena, they're directed, controlled, maybe even communicative. Communicating what? I don't know, but the time displacements might be part of it. Maybe they're showing us something, demonstrating capability, proving they can manipulate fundamental aspects of reality. Time, space, energy, things we thought were fixed, constant. But they're not. These entities prove that. I thought about my watch. Still 20 minutes ahead. I'd checked it against multiple sources. Radio signals, internet time servers. My watch was correct. The building clocks were wrong. Had been wrong since Thursday night, since the displacement. Like they'd been reset. Synchronized to a different timeline. Have you had any effects? Maya asked. Physical effects, since the displacement. Like what? Headaches, nausea, memory problems. Some witnesses report symptoms after encounters. Like jet lag, but worse. Temporal dislocation syndrome is what some researchers call it. I thought about it. Actually, yes. I'd been having headaches. Not severe, but constant. Low-grade pressure behind my eyes. and my sleep had been strange. Dreams that felt too real, too vivid. Memories of Thursday night, but from different angles. Perspectives I shouldn't have, like I was seeing it from outside myself. Maybe, I said. Headaches? Strange dreams. That's common. The temporal field affects neural processing, brain chemistry, nothing permanent. Should fade in a few days, but document it. Write down the symptoms. Might be useful for research. Sunday evening, Maya set up again. Same routine. Cameras, tripod, observation deck. I joined her this time. Brought coffee. Sat in lawn chairs despite the cold. Watched the ocean. Watched the fog. Watched for lights. 8 p.m., nothing. 9 p.m., nothing. 10 p.m., still nothing. Maybe it was a one-time event, I said. Maybe they don't come back. They always come back. Pattern analysis shows cyclical appearances, every few days, sometimes every few weeks. But they return. We just have to wait. We kept waiting. The fog thickened. Temperature dropped. I could see my breath. My hands were numb even in gloves. Maya seemed unbothered, focused, intent, like she could wait forever if necessary. At 10:30, I went inside, made more coffee. When I came back out, Maya was standing, staring at the horizon, her camera recording. There, she said, pointed. I looked, saw it, a light. Not orange this time, blue, pale blue, like ice, hovering in the same location as Thursday, same position on the horizon, maybe a mile out, maybe more, hard to judge. How long? I asked. Just appeared, maybe 30 seconds ago. The light pulsed, slow, regular. Then 2 more lights appeared, one red, one green, forming a triangle again, but different colors, different configuration. They began to rotate, slowly, around an invisible center point, like planets orbiting. The motor sound started, that low frequency, that chest vibration, but different from Thursday. Higher pitch, more complex, like multiple engines running at once, harmonizing, creating interference patterns you could feel. Recording? I asked. Yes, everything. The lights accelerated, spinning faster, the colors blurring together. Blue, red, green, creating white light through combination. The rotation became so fast the lights formed a solid ring, continuous, unbroken. Then the ring expanded, grew larger, 5 feet across, 10 feet, 20 feet. A massive ring of light hovering above the ocean, and through the center of the ring, darkness. Not empty space, active darkness, like looking into a void, a hole in reality. What is that? I whispered. I don't know, but I'm capturing it. Something moved in the darkness. A shape, large, solid, coming through the ring, emerging from the void. Angular surfaces, geometric. The same type of craft Maya and I had discussed from other reports. But seeing it, actually seeing it, that was different, that was real. The craft was maybe 50 feet across, triangular, dark gray, almost black. But the surfaces reflected light strangely, like they were wet, or covered in oil, colors shifting, moving across the surface independent of ambient light. It came through the ring completely, hovered outside it. The ring collapsed. The rotating lights separated, returned to 3 distinct points, blue, red, green. They positioned themselves around the craft, illuminating it from different angles. The craft began to descend, coming down toward the water, slowly, deliberately. When it reached about 20 feet above the surface, it stopped. Hung there, silent except for that motor sound, that multi-frequency hum. "Are you seeing this?" Maya asked. Her voice was shaking. Not fear, excitement, validation. "Yes, I'm seeing it. This is it. This is proof. Undeniable, physical, real." The craft began to glow from within, light emanating through gaps in the surface like windows or vents. White light, intense, growing brighter, illuminating the fog, turning everything around it pale, washed out. Then a beam from the bottom of the craft, straight down into the water. Brilliant white, perfectly cylindrical, like a solid pillar of light connecting craft to ocean, the water where the beam hit. It didn't splash, didn't ripple, just glowed. Reflected the light back up, creating a column, a connection. "What's it doing?" I asked. "I don't know. Scanning, maybe, or extracting something. Water samples, marine life, data collection." The beam intensified. The water began to rise. Not spraying, not exploding, just lifting. Smooth, flowing upward along the beam, into the craft. Like gravity had reversed, like the ocean was being pulled up instead of staying down. Then the surrounding lights, the blue, red, green. They began to pulse, synchronized, fast, 10 times per second. The motor sound matched the pulses, creating rhythm. Pattern, like code, like communication. My head started hurting, bad, pressure building, behind my eyes, at the base of my skull. I put a hand to my temple. Maya was having the same issue. I could see her grimacing, squinting. "Something's wrong," she said. "The frequency. It's affecting us. Should we go inside?" "No, keep watching, keep documenting. This is too important." The pulses accelerated, 20 times per second, 30 times, 40 times, too fast to count. The motor sound became a high-pitched whine, painful. I covered my ears. Didn't help. The sound was inside, in my bones, in my brain. Then everything stopped. Pulses ceased. Sound cut out. Beam retracted. The craft went dark. Just a black triangle against gray fog. The surrounding lights dimmed, faded, became faint glows, barely visible. And in that moment of quiet, that pause, I felt it, the same sensation from Thursday. Reality shifting, time slipping. Everything wrong. "Maya," I said, "it's happening again." "I know. Keep recording. Don't stop." The lights went out. All of them, hotel, street, houses, everything. Total darkness. But this time it lasted longer. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, long enough to feel panic. To wonder if they'd come back on. They did. After what felt like 20 seconds, but might have been more, all at once, simultaneous. And when they came back, the craft was gone. The lights were gone. The ocean was empty. Just fog. Just darkness. Just normal night. I checked my watch. 10:53. I checked it when we first saw the lights. 10:30. 23 minutes had passed. That was right. That made sense. "What's your phone say?" I asked. Maya checked. 10:38. 8 minutes. Different again, but smaller this time. 15 minutes instead of 20. Maybe the displacement is proportional to exposure time. Longer we witness, bigger the jump, or maybe it varies, random, no pattern. We went inside, reviewed the footage immediately. The camera had captured everything. The blue light appearing, the red and green joining, the ring forming, the craft emerging, the beam, the water rising. All documented. Clear. Undeniable. Then the interference. Same as Thursday, digital artifacts, static. But longer this time. 45 seconds of corrupted video. When it cleared, the craft was gone. Timeline showed continuous recording, but the timestamp jumped from 10:53 to 10:38, 15 minutes backwards while playing forward. "This is it," Maya said. "This is the proof. Multiple incidents, multiple recordings, same pattern, same temporal displacement. This can't be dismissed, can't be explained conventionally. What do we do with it? We compile it, add it to the database, include your testimony, your corroboration. Then we release it, publish it. Academic journals, news outlets, social media, everywhere. Make it public, make it visible. When? Soon, few more days. Make sure we have everything documented properly. Then we go public." We spent the next 2 hours reviewing footage, making notes, documenting observations. When we finished, it was past 1 a.m. real time, my watch time. The building clock said 12:45. Still behind, still wrong. Like Thursday's displacement hadn't corrected, had just compounded, added to by tonight's event. "Do the clocks ever correct themselves?" I asked. "Sometimes. Reports vary. Some say they sink back after a few days. Others say they stay displaced. Permanent offset, like a scar, a mark left by the encounter. That's unsettling. Or evidence, physical evidence, measurable. These aren't hallucinations, aren't misperceptions. Real physical effects on real physical systems. Clocks, watches, electronic devices all affected, all displaced. That's proof of something real happening." I walked Maya back to her room, made sure she was secure, went to do my final rounds, check doors, windows, make sure everything was locked, normal procedure, normal routine. But nothing felt normal anymore. As I walked past the observation deck, I stopped, looked out at the ocean. Dark now, quiet. The fog had thinned, I could see stars. Rare for Depot Bay, usually too overcast, too foggy. But tonight, clear patches, openings in the clouds, and between those openings, high up, almost at the edge of visibility, I saw them, lights, 3 of them, blue, red, green, faint, distant, but unmistakable. They weren't moving, just hovering, watching, like they'd never left, like they were always there, waiting. I pulled out my phone, took photos. Probably wouldn't show anything. Too far, too faint. But I tried anyway, documented what I could. Then I went inside, locked the door, tried to sleep. Couldn't. Too wired, too aware, too changed by what I'd seen. Monday morning, Maya and I met in the office. She'd reviewed all the footage again, pulled the best segments, the clearest shots, compiled them into a presentation. Evidence package, ready to share. "I'm leaving tomorrow," she said. "Tuesday morning. Need to get this to my contacts, researchers who can verify it, analyze it, confirm it's genuine. Will they believe it? Some will, some won't. But the data speaks for itself. Video evidence, temporal displacement, multiple witnesses, that's more than most encounters have. This is solid. This is real." "What happens after you release it?" "Depends. Best case, scientific community takes it seriously, investigates, opens formal studies. Worst case, gets dismissed, debunked, called fake, but either way, it's out there. People can decide for themselves. And us, the witnesses, will be scrutinized, questioned, our credibility examined. It won't be easy, but we have each other. We have the documentation. We know what we saw. That's what matters." I thought about that, about my life changing, about being known as the guy who saw UFOs, the maintenance worker who witnessed temporal displacement, how that would affect my work, my relationships, my future. But what choice did I have? Stay silent? Pretend it didn't happen? That wasn't living, that was hiding. Okay, I said. I'm ready, whatever comes. I'll stand by what we saw. Thank you, that means a lot. Most witnesses don't want to go public. Too much risk, too much exposure. But we need people willing to testify, willing to say, yes, I saw it, yes, it was real. That's how change happens. That night, Monday night, Maya's last night, we set up again. Same routine, same positions, cameras ready. Recording, watching, waiting to see if they'd appear one more time, give us one more piece of evidence, one more documented encounter. 8 p.m., nothing. 9 p.m., nothing. 10 p.m., still nothing. At 10:30, Maya started packing up. Looks like they're done. 3 encounters in 4 nights. That's more than most locations get in months. We're lucky. We have enough. Yeah, we do. She was folding her tripod when I saw it. Movement. On the horizon. Not a light this time. Something else. A shape. Dark against dark. But visible because it blocked the stars. A hole in the sky. Moving. Gliding. Silent. Maya, look. She turned, saw it, immediately set up her camera again. Started recording. The shape was large. Bigger than the craft from Sunday. Maybe 100 feet across. Disc-shaped, or sphere, hard to tell. It moved slowly, south to north, following the coastline, just offshore. Maybe half a mile out, no lights, no sound, just the shape, the absence, the void moving through space. And as it passed directly in front of us, at its closest point, every light went out again. Hotel, street, houses, everything. But this time, the darkness lasted. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Long enough to feel real fear. To wonder if this was it. If this was the end. When the lights came back. 45 seconds later, the shape was gone. Vanished. And every clock, every watch, every electronic device, all showed the same time. Synchronized. Corrected. No more displacement. Everything aligned. Like the offset had been erased, reset, fixed. Did you see that? Maya asked. The time, check your watch. I checked, 10:35. Same as her phone, same as the building clocks. Same as everything. All synchronized, all correct. The displacement was gone, the temporal scar healed. What does that mean? I asked. I don't know. Maybe they fixed it. Corrected their mistake. Or maybe that was intentional, a demonstration. Show us they can displace time, then show us they can fix it. Proof of control. Proof of power. We reviewed the footage. The shape was there, captured, visible, moving across frame. Then, the 45 seconds of darkness, the camera kept recording, kept running, but captured only black. Then lights returning, and in the metadata, the timestamps, continuous. No jumps, no displacement, just normal linear time. Like nothing had happened, like the previous displacements had never occurred. This is the final piece, Maya said. The correction, the fix. They're showing us the full cycle. Displacement, duration, correction, complete control over temporal flow. That's what this documents, that's what this proves. So what now? Now, I take this. I compile everything. I release it. And we see what happens. See if the world is ready for this truth. See if humanity can accept what we've documented, what we've proven. She left Tuesday morning, took all her footage, all her data, all the evidence, promised to keep me updated, send me copies of everything, include my testimony in the report. credit me as co-witness, co-investigator, partner in documentation. I've been waiting since then. 3 weeks now, watching the news, checking online, looking for the release, the publication, the announcement. But nothing yet. Maybe she's still compiling, still verifying, still preparing. Or maybe she ran into resistance, skepticism, suppression. Hard to know. But I know what I saw, what we both saw. The lights, the craft, the temporal displacement, the correction. All real, all documented, all true. And they're still out there. I see them sometimes, late at night, when the fog clears. Lights on the horizon, shapes moving in the dark. Silent, watching, waiting. For what? I don't know, but they're there, always there, just beyond sight, just beyond understanding, but there. The Depot Bay silence, that's what I call it. The moment when everything went quiet. When time stopped, when reality shifted, when we were shown something impossible, something true, something that changes everything. And I'll never forget it. Never forget that silence, that darkness, that moment when I knew, absolutely knew. We're not alone. We've never been alone. And whatever's out there, whatever caused those lights and that displacement, they're still here, still present, still watching, still waiting for us to understand, still waiting for us to be ready, still waiting for humanity to accept the truth, that we're part of something larger, something cosmic, something that exists beyond our small understanding of time and space and reality. The silence taught me that. The displacement proved it. And the documentation confirms it. We're not alone. And that changes everything. Changes how we see ourselves, how we see our world, how we see our place in the universe. The Depot Bay silence. Listen for it. Watch for it. Because it's still happening, still ongoing, still real. And one day, maybe soon, maybe distant, the silence will break. The truth will emerge. The evidence will overwhelm. And humanity will finally know, finally accept, finally understand. We're not alone, we've never been alone. And the lights on the Oregon coast, the temporal displacements, the crafts in the fog, they're proof, they're evidence, they're truth. And I was there, I witnessed it, I documented it, and I'm telling you now, so you know, so you're ready. So when the silence comes for you, when the lights appear, when time shifts, you'll understand. You'll recognize it. You'll know it's real. Because it is real, the Depot Bay silence. Real, true, documented, happening, now.